Xinxingzhou is the recipient of my family's financial support. He has a remarkable talent for mathematics, winning an international gold medal in the subject at just 17, yet, he gave up the opportunity to study abroad for the school's most popular girl. I couldn't bear to watch someone with such a bright future throw it all away. I handed the campus belle a check and shipped her off abroad. Later, Xinxingzhou achieved fame and fortune, only to kick me when I was down after my family fell from grace. A sudden accident claimed both our lives. With his dying breath, he told me that if given another chance, he wished I would have shown mercy and stayed out of his life, as he wished. In this life, I choose to stand by and do nothing. The living room was noisy. Xinxingzhou, holding Lu Qingqing's hand beside him, said firmly, "Uncle, Auntie, I'm sorry I've let you down, but I truly love Qingqing. And I believe I can make a name for myself here in China." "That's right, Uncle, Auntie," said Lu Qingqing, looking at Xinxingzhou with a sweet expression. "I believe Azhou can do it." When I opened my eyes, I was met with my parents' exasperated, disappointed expressions and the nauseatingly lovey-dovey looks the young couple were exchanging. "Xingzhou, this is a turning point in your life. We hope you'll think it over carefully," my father began. "Dad, Mom. This is Xinxingzhou's own decision. Please don't interfere," I urged. My parents gave me a disapproving look. I knew exactly what they meant. Xinxingzhou has a remarkable talent for mathematics. He won an international gold medal in mathematics at just 17, and his future seemed incredibly bright. Seizing this moment to study abroad would have allowed for greater growth, access to a better platform, a wider network, and a deeper knowledge of mathematics. However, it is regrettable that Xinxingzhou abandoned all his past efforts and future prospects for immediate gratification. That's what I thought in my past life, too, so I sent Lu Qingqing abroad before he could, yet, I earned Xinxingzhou's lifelong hatred. However, I didn't hide from him that Lu Qingqing was in the same country as the university he was admitted to. If possible, they could meet every week, yet, Xinxingzhou never reached out to her. While enjoying the financial support from my family, he was simultaneously mocking and belittling me. Later, he became a rising star in the international mathematics community, gaining both fame and fortune, yet my family was on the brink of bankruptcy. At this critical moment, Xinxingzhou exposed how I had taken money to break him and his sweetheart apart. In an instant, I was vilified by netizens. My family's products were boycotted. I ran to confront Xinxingzhou, demanding to know why he did this. He said, "Haven't you done the same things, Liang Qian? You brought all of this on yourself, you deserve it. Have you forgotten all the help my family gave you?" I screamed at him. "The moment you used money to humiliate Lu Qingqing and forced her to go abroad, any bond between us vanished completely," Xinxingzhou said, looking at me coldly. "Fine, just fine. After all these years of my family's support, we've ended up raising an ungrateful wretch. If you show no mercy, don't blame me for showing none in return." I bought a bottle of paraquat and mixed it into the wine. Under the pretense of making amends, I knocked on Xinxingzhou's door and drank with him all night. Midway through the drink, Xinxingzhou seemed to sense something was off. "There's something strange about this wine," he said. He set down his cup and examined it carefully, but it was too late. The pesticide had already taken effect, and foam began to froth from his mouth. Looking at me, now showing the same symptoms, he understood everything. He didn't struggle, just looked at me with a faint plea in his eyes. "Liang Qian," he said, "if there's a next life, please don't come between us again." I agreed. So in this lifetime, I didn't give Lu Qingqing a check, I didn't force her to make a choice, and I didn't send her abroad. They can act out their little lovey-dovey script however they want. I won't interfere anymore. Xinxingzhou is someone my family has sponsored since he was a child. He comes from an extremely poor and remote mountain village. Not long ago, he lost his mother. His father, the family's sole breadwinner, fell from a high platform when Xingzhou was 6, resulting in a permanent disability. He also had an elderly grandmother at home. Growing up in such a family, Xinxingzhou did not succumb to despair. On the contrary, he was remarkably diligent, according to their village chief. He would rise before dawn and trek 3 kilometers along mountain paths to attend school in town. After class, without a moment's rest, he would head up the mountain to gather mushrooms to help support the family. Upon returning home in the evening, he had to care for his large household. It wasn't until the early hours of the morning that he finally got a chance to open his books. He could not afford to light the lamp, so he would read by the faint moonlight filtering through the window. Through sheer perseverance, he rose to the top of his class in the entire town. My parents were deeply moved after hearing his story and immediately decided to sponsor Xinxingzhou. They brought Xinxingzhou home and transferred him to the same elementary school as me. And so, I met Xinxingzhou for the first time. He was wearing an ill-fitting school uniform, was dark-skinned and scrawny, with a few specks of mud on his trouser cuffs and dirt caked under his fingernails. He stood in my living room, looking at me with great unease. "Cece, come here, this is your brother, Xingzhou." Mom waved me over gently. "Come and say hello to him." "Hello, brother," I called out in a clear, bright voice. "Hello," Xinxingzhou replied awkwardly. "From now on, your brother will be at the same school as you. Cece, you have to look out for him, okay?" Mom patted my head and reminded me. "Okay, Mom, consider it done." Xinxingzhou became my deskmate. We went to and from school together every day. Mom even joked that we were joined at the hip. One day, I was feeling mischievous and skipped class to sneak out, completely forgetting about Xinxingzhou. I was humming a tune as I reached my doorstep, and out of habit, I glanced to the side, only to find no one there. Oh no, that's when I remembered Xinxingzhou, who I'd completely forgotten. I hurried back along the road to school. Up ahead, in a narrow alley, I saw a few of the class bullies ganging up on Xinxingzhou. "You country bumpkin, who knows what tricks you used to charm Princess Cece? I'm warning you, stay away from her from now on." Back then, I was obsessed with the Snow White fairy tale and had made the whole class call me Princess Cece. Normally, hearing them call me Princess Cece might have pleased me, but right then, I couldn't take it anymore. I rushed forward. "Hey, you bullies, let Xinxingzhou go right now, or I'm calling the police." We were at that age where the mere mention of the police was enough to scare anyone. Sure enough, upon hearing my threat, they slunk away, looking thoroughly deflated. "Brother Xingzhou, are you okay?" I hurriedly went to help Xinxingzhou up from the ground. Seeing him covered in bruises, I felt so guilty that tears immediately began to fall. "I'm sorry, brother Xingzhou. It's all my fault. If I hadn't left without waiting for you, you wouldn't have been bullied by them." "Cece, it's not your fault," Xinxingzhou said gently as he wiped away my tears, then changed the subject. "But you really mustn't skip class anymore, okay, brother Xingzhou? I promise I'll never leave you behind again. From now on, we'll walk together, okay?" Together, under the streetlight, two small figures stumbled along, heading in the same direction. 3. After the high school entrance exam, Xinxingzhou and I, tied for first place in the city, were admitted to the top provincial high school. Throughout our 3 years of high school, we consistently ranked within the top 3 of our grade. In our first year, Xinxingzhou stood against the light, his face radiant, and declared to me, "Cece, I'm going to be a mathematician. I'll solve the unsolved problems and bring honor to our country." At that moment, the young man was picture perfect, his eyes shining with ambition. "All right. Let's do this together," I said with a smile, bumping my fist against his. I thought we would keep walking side by side like this, hand in hand, toward the same goal. That was until he met Lu Qingqing. Lu Qingqing was a dance student, unlike us, who were quiet and only knew how to grind through practice problems. She was vibrant, radiant, and outgoing. You could see her everywhere on campus, and she was famously well liked. The first time I heard the name Lu Qingqing was at the provincial ballet competition. Lu Qingqing participated as the school representative and won first place. That day, Lu Qingqing wore a pure white ballet dress, and the campus was plastered with the good news of her victory. "Let's go home, Xinxingzhou, what are you staring at?" I patted Xinxingzhou, who was standing there dazed, and followed his gaze. Right in front of us was the announcement of Lu Qingqing's award. "Oh, you like her? Huh, you've got good taste, kid," I joked. "Too, no, I don't," he mumbled, but his bright red ears gave away his true feelings. All right, you don't," I replied dismissively, not giving it much thought. Who doesn't have a crush during their teenage years? It's perfectly normal, just like how I had a thing for Yu Ting, the quiet, gentle academic ace from the liberal arts class next door who always topped the rankings. But in this crucial final year of high school, I know my limits. And I believe Xinxingzhou understands what truly matters as well. However, things seemed to be unfolding in a way I hadn't quite anticipated. Around 2 or 3 in the morning, I got up for a drink of water and noticed the light was still on in Xinxingzhou's room. Dark circles had appeared under his eyes, which were usually so fair, and he even started dozing off in class sometimes. "Xinxingzhou, are you okay?" I asked him with some concern. "It's nothing. Probably just been staying up too late studying these past few days," Xinxingzhou replied flatly. I was naive enough to believe him at the time. It wasn't until later that I found out he was staying up all night playing games with Lu Qingqing. I was a bit disappointed when I found out. I ran to confront Shen Xingzhou. Shen Xingzhou, have you forgotten your dreams? How could you let yourself go like this? Shen Xingzhou looked embarrassed, his face turning a kaleidoscope of colors. Lu Qingqing, however, turned on me, saying, Liang Qian, I wish you'd have some self-awareness and stop meddling in other people's boyfriends' private affairs. I was stunned. They were actually dating. Shen Xingzhou, do you think so too? I refused to give up. He had struggled so hard to get out of those remote mountains through the exams. He was just one step away from returning home in glory. Unlike others, he couldn't afford to waste time. He needed to work even harder. Even without having endured the hardships he went through, I could understand this truth. I believed Shen Xingzhou understood it too. I looked at Shen Xingzhou hopefully, wishing he would tell me it was all just a joke. After a pause, Shen Xingzhou spoke, Liang Qian, enough of this, I know my boundaries, let's not walk together anymore. Lu Qingqing heard it and gave me a contemptuous smile. I lowered my head, avoiding their gaze, and let them pass by. I knew then that I had lost a fellow traveler. 5 months before the college entrance exam, I had already completed my first round of review and was starting to fill in the gaps. Shen Xingzhou accompanied Lu Qingqing as they strolled around the campus, admiring the flowers and trees. In the 3 months leading up to the college entrance exam, I spent every night burning the midnight oil on practice problems. While Shen Xingzhou stayed up all night pouring his heart out to Lu Qingqing over the phone. 1 month before the exam, I had essentially finished my review. At that point, everything was ready. All I needed was the final push. My grades now hold firm at the top of the grade, solid and unchanging. Initially, Shen Xingzhou's grades remained within the top 5 of the grade, but gradually, they began to slip, 10th, 50th, 90th. During the second mock exam, Shen Xingzhou's score hit a new all-time low, ranked 250th in the grade. His teachers called him in for talks one after another, and his parents subtly asked if it was due to too much pressure or a failure to perform on the day. Shen Xingzhou stammered and nodded in agreement. Surprisingly, Shen Xingzhou's grades suddenly improved again in the subsequent exams. I felt a bit puzzled, but ultimately didn't press further. The teacher and his parents, however, were relieved. On my way rushing to class, I ran into Shen Xingzhou and Lu Qingqing. Talk about rotten luck. Lu Qingqing looked at me and giggled coyly. Ah Zhou, tell me, who's prettier, me or your childhood sweetheart? Shen Xingzhou's eyes crinkled into a smile. You, of course, and besides, she's not my childhood sweetheart. We're not close, I'm just staying at her place temporarily. After hearing this, Lu Qingqing gave me a triumphant glance, then rose onto her toes and began to dance gracefully beneath the tree. As light as a butterfly, Shen Xingzhou watched with rapt attention, as if she were the only thing left in his world. What a perfectly matched pair they made. If this weren't high school, I might have even applauded for them. It's a shame I don't have time to admire the view now. I must be on my way. As for the young couple, well, it's a different world. I wish them the best of luck. I soon arrived at the Gaokao exam hall. Looking at the familiar old friends on the test paper, I was moved to tears. For all the effort I had put in, the 3 days of the Gaokao soon came to an end. Freed from the shackles of academic pressure, Shen Xingzhou became even more uninhibited. He spent his days with Lu Qingqing, drinking, singing, and living with a carefree, unrestrained spirit. I began researching information on foreign universities to plan for my future studies abroad. Soon, I had locked in my target institution, the University of the Arts London, whose Central St. Martin's College of Art and Design is one of the world's top 4 fashion design schools. I'd been fascinated by fashion design since I was a child, and now, I'm going to pursue my dream. 2 weeks later, the National College Entrance Exam results were released. I was still number 1, the top scorer in the entire province. Shen Xingzhou's score was just 10 points above the first-tier university cutoff, 5. When I got home, my parents' expressions were grim. Shen Xingzhou's eyes were slightly reddened. Uncle, Auntie, I'm sorry, I was a bit too nervous during the college entrance exam, and it affected my performance. Father frowned, clearly not buying his excuse. Mother, being soft-hearted, softened her attitude immediately upon seeing Shen Xingzhou like this. All right, Xingzhou, we have some old connections with the dean of the mathematics faculty at the University of London. We'll put in a good word for you when the time comes. Shen Xingzhou's lips parted, but in the end, he said nothing. I knew he couldn't bear to part with Lu Qingqing, but he didn't want to upset my parents for her sake. Nor did he want to abandon his studies for her. Out of a decade-long friendship, I still wanted to give him a helping hand. I arranged to meet Lu Qingqing at a cafe to have a talk with her. In the end, I said to her, "Miss Lu, which would you choose? A million to study at the best dance school abroad, or Xinxingzhou?" A flicker of reluctance crossed her face, but in the end, she chose the former. Lu Qingqing acted swiftly. By the next day, she had vanished without a trace, deleting and blocking me on everything. But to my surprise, Lu Qingqing had an ace up her sleeve. She sent a record of our conversation to Xinxingzhou, her words dripping with reluctance to let him go and painting me as the aggressive one. Upon finding out, Xinxingzhou stormed over to confront me. "Liang Qian," he demanded, "if you have a problem, take it up with me. Why did you have to drive Qingqing away?" "Xinxingzhou, I'm doing this for your own good. With the grades you're getting now, you'll never make any real headway in mathematics. I don't need you to do what's best for me. That's not what I want at all. I just want Qingqing. Give her back to me." The memory ended abruptly there. I lowered my head to collect my thoughts. "Mom, Dad, I believe with Xinxingzhou's grades, he can get into a very good university here in China. It might not be any worse than going abroad." After a moment's thought, my parents finally agreed. Xinxingzhou gave me a surprised look, as if he hadn't expected me to speak up for him. I let out a cold laugh in my heart. "This is just the beginning. I'll make sure you experience everything I went through in my past life, one by one." With that thought, I said, "Mom, Dad, by the way, I'm an adult now. You don't need to give me an allowance anymore. I can earn my own money." With that, I gave my parents a sweet, well-behaved smile. "That's wonderful. Our daughter has grown up and become so sensible," Mom said, looking at me with a gratified smile. Xinxingzhou, standing to the side, turned pale and then flushed with embarrassment before finally speaking up. "Uncle, Auntie, you can pause your financial support for me now. I'm capable of earning my own money." "Oh, great, just great. These two kids are such a relief." Dad cut in before Mom could finish her sentence. Xinxingzhou's expression darkened. After all, our family had promised to support him through university, but since he was the one who said it himself, he had no choice but to swallow his words. After they left, Mom asked, "Lao Liang, didn't we agree to support him until graduation? What's going on now?" Dad nodded gravely. "Xingzhou is a smart kid, no doubt about that. But his ambitions have grown too big for his own good. It's best to let him cool his heels for a while. That's my old man for you, so sharp. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree." 6. Just like in my past life, I was once again the top scorer in the province. I successfully received an offer from my dream school. Xinxingzhou's score was about 200 points lower than in his previous life. Rumor has it he went to a bar with Lu Qingqing, drank a spiked drink, and overslept the next morning, causing him to miss the exam for his best subject, math. In this life, Xinxingzhou didn't even meet the minimum score for a bachelor's degree and could only attend a vocational college. I'm a bit confused. This definitely didn't happen in my previous life. What went wrong? Before I could figure it out, Xinxingzhou suddenly showed up at my door. Oh, wait, not just showed up, he came to beg, with his eyelids drooping. He looked at me pitifully. "Cece, I didn't do well on the college entrance exam. Could you?" He seemed too ashamed to say it, stumbling over the words several times without getting them out. I was getting impatient. "Are you suggesting my parents should pull some strings to get you into a bachelor's program? Cece, you're willing to help me?" Xinxingzhou's eyes lit up instantly. "No, I'm not. We're not exactly close." I refused him coldly. In my past life, when Lu Qingqing slandered me as a homewrecker, and a reporter went to him for confirmation, he gave the exact same reply. "Liangxi, we're not close." That one sentence alone led to me being subjected to a massive wave of online harassment. Netizens doxed my address, I received threats and hate mail, and when I went outside, people threw rotten vegetables and eggs at me. I didn't dare leave my house for a full 3 months, until the public frenzy finally died down. Even though the current Xinxingzhou knows nothing about this, I don't consider him innocent. Because a person's fundamental nature doesn't change. Xinxingzhou looked at me with a pitiful expression. "Cece, is this about what I said to Qingqing last time that you misunderstood?" I didn't want to say it like that either, but Qingqing gets jealous so easily. "If I offended you, I apologize. This is related to my academic future, and you said you support my dreams, right?" After speaking, he looked at me expectantly. "Oh, are you finished? First, I've already made myself clear to you before. You chose not to listen. so now you have to live with the consequences. Second, I did support your dreams, but I only supported the diligent and ambitious person you used to be. Do you think the person you are now deserves it? Third, I'm not angry, you're right, we really aren't that close, you were just one of the many people my family sponsored. Now that the sponsorship has been terminated, you should move out of my house sooner rather than later. Furthermore, the college entrance exam is built on principles of fairness and integrity. We would never stoop to such underhanded tactics to serve your selfish interests. I'm done here, you can leave. Let's not contact each other anymore, it'll save your girlfriend from getting jealous, I said with a sneer, leaning against the doorframe. Liang Qian, I really misjudged you. In the end, you all still look down on me for coming from the mountains. I thought you were different from the others. Shen Xingzhou clenched his fists and said to me with disappointment, don't you regret this? I'll make something of myself one day, and you'll all be beneath my notice. The only response he got was the sound of a door slamming shut. How pathetic, can't even handle a few home truths without getting triggered. Who's the one looking down on people from the mountains? Really, you both came from the same mountain town, yet Yi Ting is clearly miles ahead of you. I heard he was the top liberal arts student in our province and got a government scholarship to study abroad. 7. Soon after, I embarked on my new journey to London. The school provided me with a platform to showcase my work. My clothing designs were shortlisted multiple times for the world's most prestigious design awards, and I successfully won the Best Newcomer award. I was the youngest recipient of the award. My name was starting to make waves in the fashion world. I ran into Yi Ting at yet another fashion design competition. The difference was, I was there as a contestant, while he was there as an investor. Long time no see, Xiao Liang. Yi Ting greeted me with a smile. I was stunned because we had absolutely no interaction in high school. As if reading my mind, he added, come to think of it, I never thanked Liang for those breakfasts that whole year. Wait, you knew I was the one who left them. I was even more bewildered. One Saturday morning during our final year of high school, Shen Xingzhou and I had arranged to study together. But Shen Xingzhou never showed up, out of a sense of basic human concern. I went out to look for him, only to spot Yi Ting in a bar. His lips were deathly pale, his face completely drained of color, as if he had been working there all night. I didn't go in to disturb him. Instead, I reached out to a close friend of his from the same class. Oh, him, he's from the same hometown as Shen Xingzhou. His family situation is really tough. His little sister is only 3, and his grandfather had a stroke. The medical bills are enormous. He's had it rough these past few years, studying during the day and working at night, yet he still manages to be top of his class. Oh, and I don't think he eats breakfast. I've seen him nearly faint from low blood sugar a few times. Hearing that, my heart ached for him, so I asked my best friend to anonymously deliver breakfast to Yi Ting for me every day. I never imagined Yi Ting knew about all of it. At that thought, my face grew warm. When did you find out? From the very beginning. What? I was so startled I nearly jumped. Yi Ting gently steadied my arm. The handwriting on those notes. Oh, right. I also slipped a little note of encouragement in for him each day and had my best friend pass it along. You recognize my handwriting? I said with an awkward smile. Yeah, the teacher always uses your essays as examples to share with the class. I've seen them enough to know. Oh, I see. I heard you're planning to start your own clothing line. Yi Ting changed the subject. That's right. What, is Mr. Yi looking to invest? I seized the moment to crack a joke. Actually, yes, would that be okay? Yi Ting stared at me intently. Sure, that would be. I actually have to run. I gathered my skirt and made a hasty retreat. 8. Out on the street, I could feel my heart pounding wildly, a deep restlessness that wouldn't settle. Damn, it's true. The one who got away is always the one who got away. He just has to stand there. And he's already won, before I could even hail a cab. A car pulled up and came to a gentle stop right in front of me. The car window rolled down, revealing Yi Ting. He chuckled. Why did you run off so suddenly? We haven't even finalized the investment details. Oh, right, I replied, feeling like a puppet whose strings were being pulled by Yi Ting the entire time. 2 months later, my personal brand was officially launched. A year later, my brand had gained a bit of a reputation on Fashion Street. 3 years later, my sales consistently ranked within the global top 15. After graduation, Yi Ting and I returned to our home country. The night I returned, my best friend threw a welcome home dinner for me. The whole way, she held on to me, chattering nonstop. Naturally, most of it revolved around Shen Xingzhou. From her words, I learned about Shen Xingzhou's recent situation. She said Shen Xingzhou had failed the college to university transfer exam 3 times. Yeah, saw that coming. She also said Shen Xingzhou has started over a dozen businesses, and every single one of them failed. He's now up to his neck in debt. That's about what I expected. She went on to say that Shen Xingzhou and Lu Qingqing have broken up. Hearing this, I was a bit taken aback. Weren't you completely obsessed with Lu Qingqing in your past life? How come you broke up with her in this one? Ugh, don't even get me started. It's all because of that Shen family. I heard Lu Qingqing is pregnant. Shen Xingzhou took her home to meet his parents, but the Shens absolutely refused to accept her. They even said the only daughter-in-law they'd ever accept is you. They should take a good look in the mirror and see what they really are. My best friend fumed indignantly. Shen Xingzhou was always so clueless. He was drowning in debt, yet Lu Qingqing stuck by him, even doing his family's laundry and cooking while heavily pregnant. And what did he do? He just stood by and let his relatives walk all over his girlfriend. I heard Lu Qingqing finally couldn't take it anymore. She ended the pregnancy and ran off with some rich kid. I heard Shen Xingzhou is working as a host in this bar now. My best friend said, giving me a knowing look, serves him right. After all the advice she gave him that he just ignored. Yeah, I've done all I could, the rest is none of my business. 9, waiter. Another bottle. We're not leaving until we're completely wasted. My best friend rolled up her sleeves, looking ready for a serious drinking session. Who would have thought she'd be passed out on the table the very next second? I was speechless. Just as I got her settled on the couch, I looked up and locked eyes with Shen Xingzhou, who had just walked in. It's just like the old saying, when it rains, it pours. Shen Xingzhou seemed oblivious to my desire to escape and quickly approached. Cici, you're back. Why didn't you let me know you were coming? I quietly shifted further away. I thought I made myself perfectly clear last time. Cici, I'm sorry. I was a jerk before. I misjudged her. I was fooled by Lu Qingqing too. That bitch had already hooked up with some rich kid, he said bitterly, before grabbing my hand. Cici, let's get back together. Okay. I looked up and saw a deep, menacing darkness in his eyes. Fearing he might become violent, I pretended to comply, saying, Okay. Satisfied, he let go of me. I hurriedly took my best friend home. Back in my apartment, a wave of fear washed over me. Shen Xingzhou is in such a desperate situation right now. He might actually do something drastic. Before I could figure it out, Yiting came back. What's wrong, Qianqian? You look so down. He hugged me and kissed my forehead. On the 2nd anniversary of my brand's founding, Yiting confessed his feelings to me, and I said yes. I pulled him aside and told him about my run-in with Shen Xingzhou. Yiting patted my shoulder reassuringly. It's fine, he said. I'll have someone look into him. Don't worry. Dawn broke. I was lounging at the table, eating breakfast, when the phone beside me rang. Cici, didn't you promise we were getting back together? Who was that man leaving your place this morning? Shen Xingzhou's voice came through the receiver. What's it to you? I replied, a hint of impatience in my voice. This isn't right at all. Cici, I thought you liked me. How could you be with someone else? Shen Xingzhou muttered. I found it a bit odd. Who gave you the idea that I like you? Back in senior year, wasn't it you who left that milk and bread on my desk every morning? Shen Xingzhou stated matter-of-factly. If you didn't like me, why would you bring me breakfast? I was so exasperated I almost laughed. I didn't leave any milk or bread for you. But the brand you carried when you left the house was exactly the same as the one on my desk. That was a gift for someone else. Mr. Shen Xingzhou, do I make myself clear? With that, I hung up the phone. To my surprise, half an hour later, the topic exploded across the trending charts. 10. I watched as the hashtag "What kind of fairy tale campus romance is this?" climbed higher and higher, eventually skyrocketing straight to the #1 spot on the hot search list. I clicked in. And there it was, a picture of me and Shen Xingzhou from our high school days. In the photo, I'm walking ahead, and Shen Xingzhou is following behind me, his gaze never leaving me. Oh my god, I'm totally shipping them. This is like a fairy tale romance. Marry me. I want to get married. The comment section was flooded with netizens' posts. Someone even dug up my Weibo account and left me a message. In my past life, Shen Xingzhou also leveraged the power of the internet to create momentum. A small mercy in this misfortune is that most of the comments left for me in this life are well-intentioned, so, I logged onto Weibo, posted a photo of Yiting and me together, and wrote, I'm not very close with the man in the video, I have a boyfriend and we're getting married soon, just so you know. I naively thought that once I clarified things, the hype would die down quickly. I just never expected Shen Xingzhou to have another card up his sleeve. He kept posting photo after photo of the two of us together, pictures from birthdays, meals, study sessions, runs, and more. There were shots from every angle, spanning our entire childhood. The more I thought about it, the more terrified I became. I never imagined Shen Xingzhou had been laying the groundwork from such a young age. I have to say, the depth of his scheming is truly frightening. When netizens saw it, the internet absolutely exploded. Childhood sweethearts, so cute. Did the guy upset the girl, and now she's posting photos of another guy to make him jealous? Some netizens think they're so clever for having figured it out. A bunch of other netizens chime in, that makes sense, OMG, my ship is back from the dead. Shen Xingzhou then popped up and posted, asking the internet for advice on how to cheer up an angry girlfriend. Netizens flooded him with suggestions. Some even tracked down my company's address and showed up with pleading banners asking me to forgive him. These self-righteous netizens thought they were just being helpful, but they ended up being used as someone else's weapon. I finally reached my limit and sent cease and desist letters to Shen Xingzhou and the most vocal netizens, which finally caused the uproar to die down a little. Soon after, Yiting's investigation into Shen Xingzhou began to yield results. As I looked over the documents that came in, I was completely taken aback by what I saw. The Shen family was on good terms with the village chief's household, so they got wind of the news early that someone was coming to the village to select students for sponsorship. At that time, there were only 2 families in the village with school-aged children. One was Yiting's family, and the other was Shen Xingzhou's. Back then, given Shen Xingzhou's mother's employment situation, the Shen family's circumstances were actually a bit better off than the Yi family's. Logically speaking, this opportunity shouldn't have fallen to the Shen family. Back then, Shen Xingzhou, who was only 8 years old, heard about it and secretly followed his mother. As she passed by a river, he pushed her in with all his might. The mountainous area was full of rivers and lakes, so people jumped to the conclusion that it was merely an accidental drowning. They mourned for the Shen family for a few days. Consequently, the sponsorship slot naturally fell to Shen Xingzhou. I skimmed through all of this, and my hands were trembling. I had always believed Shen Xingzhou's personality only changed drastically during our final year of high school. It turns out, that was his true nature all along. He was a born monster. I submitted the evidence to the police. I heard that later, Shen Xingzhou was arrested and sentenced to life in prison. Hearing that, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. Later on, Yiting and I got married. The wedding was perfect. Sunshine, music, and a grassy setting, all just right. I looked at my beloved family and the thriving company by my side. I feel truly blessed. 11. On an otherwise ordinary day, I ran into Lu Qingqing while out shopping. She was holding a baby in her arms and had another child by the hand. When she saw me, she seemed a bit flustered and began awkwardly, "Miss Liang, I need to speak with you." We went to a coffee shop. "Miss Liang, I'm truly sorry. Back then, I was young and arrogant, full of myself. I did many things that were offensive to you. Looking back now, it all just seems absurd. I'm so sorry, Miss Liang, for all the hurt I caused you." With that, she stood up and gave me a formal, solemn bow. I gave her a gentle pat. Let the past be carried away by the wind. Don't dwell on it, just let it scatter. These past matters are no longer important to me. Story 2. After being reborn, my elder sister decisively exchanged her fiancé with mine. She said, "I'll leave the Buddhist prodigy of the Beijing circle to you. I'll marry the young master of the prince's family in the Beijing circle." In the previous life, she married the aloof Buddhist prodigy, but she never expected that he was born with a sickly and delicate personality. She couldn't stand it and chose to cheat. Then she was imprisoned by him for a lifetime and finally died of depression. But I often went in and out of high-end occasions. With the power and influence of the young master of the prince's family, everyone envied me. Looking at her crazy and triumphant smile, I let out a sigh of relief. Compared with the young master of the prince's family who flirts around and sacrifices his wife for glory, I really love the sickly but dedicated Buddhist prodigy. 1. I was reborn to 1 minute before choosing a fiancé for the arranged marriage. Our family had once arranged a baby betrothal for my elder sister and me. Now it was time to choose our fiancés. My socialite elder sister's eyes were filled with shock and joy. The moment the elders finished speaking, she let out a shrill laugh. "Dad, Mom, I want to choose the young master of the Liang family in the Beijing circle. I want to marry into the Liang family." I instantly understood that she was also reborn. she wanted to encroach on my life. My parents frowned. Ruoruo, have you really thought this through? The Liang family has lost several lawsuits and is not as powerful as before. Didn't you always like the young master of the Fu family, who is very capable? My elder sister beamed with joy. The young master of the Liang family has the ability to sort out everything. Don't worry. I'll have a good life. These words confirmed my suspicion. The reason why my elder sister cried and made a fuss to marry Liang Yiming was that she was afraid of ending up being imprisoned to death just like in the previous life. In the previous life, she took the initiative first and chose the cold and noble Buddhist prodigy in the Beijing circle, Fu Ruqing. She successfully became the young mistress of the Fu family as she wished, before she had enough of the wealthy life she had dreamed of. My elder sister was sent to a temple on the mountain for spiritual cultivation. The precepts were strict, the food was plain. On the mountain, there were only the sounds of wooden fish and bells, not to mention the bold, holy monk and enchanting woman play she wanted. Fu Ruqing never touched her at all. My elder sister was used to the colorful world. How could she be patient enough to live a boring life? With a phone call, she called 2 of her ex-boyfriends to play with her. When the 3 of them were having a good time, other monks heard the commotion and caught them in bed on the spot. It was said that Fu Ruqing was so disgusted that he went into seclusion immediately. According to his oral order, my elder sister was confined to a villa at the foot of the mountain for lifelong spiritual cultivation and finally died of depression. Fu Ruqing didn't abuse her, except for not allowing her to go in and out of nightclubs and bars to find young men. He didn't do anything too excessive, but my elder sister was jealous that I could go in and out of high-end places with the young master of the Liang family. In the end, she even developed a heart problem from pent-up emotions. No wonder she chose the Liang family, which she looked down upon in the previous life. As soon as she was reborn, my elder sister felt my gaze, glared at me provocatively, and then pulled me into the bedroom. Don't even think about snatching the young master of the prince's family in the Beijing circle from me, otherwise, don't blame me for killing you with my own hands. Pretending to be kind-hearted, I said, but the Liang family is facing difficulties now. Does sister really want to sacrifice herself? My elder sister raised her chin haughtily and had a contemptuous expression. It's none of your business, the Liang family will thrive. After saying that, she pushed me and said, "You'd better care about yourself. I hope you can stand the life of a nun who lives like a widow for the rest of your life." Looking at her swaggering away, a smile reappeared on my face. Does she really think that the Liang family's resurgence depends on Liang Yiming, who is proficient in eating, drinking, whoring, and gambling? Liang Yiming is the kind of person who can send his own wife to someone else's bed with his own hands. Compared with the young master of the prince's family who flirts around and sacrifices his wife for glory, I really love the sickly but dedicated Buddhist prodigy, too. Although my parents were helpless, they still agreed to my elder sister's choice. Then they turned their gaze to me. Tan, since your elder sister wants to marry into the Liang family, you will marry into the Fu family. They didn't give me a chance to object and casually finalized my marriage. My elder sister gloated. While putting on a thick nightclub makeup for herself, she sneered, "Lin Tan, just accept your fate. Be careful that you'll be tied to a meditation cushion and have to kowtow for the rest of your life." I leaned close to her ear and whispered, "Sister, I wish you won't be tied to the bed with chains and have to accompany guests nonstop in the future." She thought that exchanging marriages could exchange lives. Little did she know that the right to choose in life lies with oneself, not with a certain man. My elder sister was stunned. When she realized what I said, she wanted to slap me. I smiled and stepped back, putting on a decent smile. "Mom, it's getting late. Didn't you say you've called Ruqing? He'll come to pick me up soon. I'm going to change my clothes." After finalizing the marriage partners, my parents informed the Fu family and the Liang family respectively and euphemistically suggested that it would be best to cultivate some affection. The Fu family was only half an hour's drive from my home. Fu Ruqing said he would come to pick me up and go for a walk. As for Liang Yiming, he was probably indulging in some nightclub now, drunk and dreaming of a life of pleasure. He didn't even answer a single call. My elder sister's face changed slightly. She stared at me intently, wishing she could poke a hole in me. When I came out after changing my clothes, Fu Ruqing had also arrived. He sat beside my parents, expressionlessly discussing the details of the engagement ceremony preparation. He had a tall and straight nose, outstanding facial features. He was more good-looking than the celebrities on TV, and he exuded an air of calmness like a deep stream. No wonder my elder sister fell in love with him at first sight in the previous life. As soon as my elder sister saw Fu Ruching, she was immediately fascinated. Her eyes almost stuck to him. Fu Ruching changed to a position farther away from her, as if avoiding something dirty. The bright crystal lights illuminated his expression, but they couldn't light up those dark eyes, which showed no trace of light. My elder sister was so scared that she shuddered. Just as she was about to make up for it, I interrupted. Sister, what are you talking to my fiancé about? Hearing the word fiancé, my elder sister and Fu Ruching both looked up at me. My elder sister's expression was beyond description. She seemed to want to devour me alive, but Fu Ruching just looked at me quietly, and a trace of inexplicable emotion flashed in his black eyes. I stepped forward and naturally took his arm. Mr. Fu, I'm ready, let's go. Fu Ruching's gaze shifted to the hand holding his arm, and he replied with a faint 3. It was not until we reached the car that I let go of his arm and said sincerely, Mr. Fu, thank you. My parents were bent on selling me as capital, and I had already had enough of this suffocating home. If Fu Ruching hadn't come to pick me up, I would never have been able to escape from their clutches. Why are you thanking me? Aren't we fiancés? Fu Ruching looked at me quietly. His gaze made me feel a little at a loss and a little flustered. Okay, what's mine is yours. You're welcome. Haven't you had dinner? I'll take you to a restaurant. Touching my slightly empty stomach, I nodded. I had thought that Fu Ruching would take me to a vegetarian restaurant or something, but unexpectedly, he drove me to a Western restaurant. It was the one I usually liked to eat at the most. Mr. Fu, did we go the wrong way? I couldn't help but put my hands together. This is a sin, isn't this defiling his belief? But Fu Ruching shook his head. It's okay, Buddhism emphasizes only cultivating oneself. I've already eaten at home, just order whatever you want to eat. I couldn't decline. After sitting down, I ordered a salad and spaghetti with vegetarian sauce. Fu Ruching said, is that all you're going to eat? I nodded. This is enough. I'm not picky about food. In fact, after experiencing the days in the previous life when I was tied up like a dog by Liang Yiming, it's already good enough to have something to eat. Fu Ruching looked at me, and I didn't know what he was thinking. After I finished eating and put down the knife and fork, he calmly said, after we get married, please be sure to remain loyal to the marriage and fulfill your marital obligations. I will give you everything you want. Marital obligations. My mind went blank, and I blurted out without thinking, aren't you a monk? Fu Ruching corrected me. I'm a lay Buddhist, I silently complained. Then why do everyone call you the Buddhist prodigy? I thought. I didn't know if it was an illusion, but I saw him smile. My heart suddenly started pounding, somehow. I reached out and touched his eyebrows and eyes. The moment my fingers touched his skin, I realized what I had done and quickly withdrew my hand, but it was a step too late. Fu Ruching was stunned and instinctively grabbed my hand, holding it tightly and refusing to let go. I'm really sorry. I felt desperate and wished I could slap myself twice. Lin Tan, how could you be bewitched by a man's appearance and do such a crazy thing on impulse? Fortunately, Fu Ruching didn't care about my abruptness. His lips moved slightly. It's okay. When he sent me back home, we both tacitly forgot what had just happened. Before getting out of the car, I joked, Mr. Fu, I heard that Buddhism emphasizes the word fate. In your opinion, do we have fate? I thought he wouldn't answer this question. Unexpectedly, he nodded and said calmly, yes, it started from the previous life. It was my turn to be silent. How could I have had a relationship with him in the previous life? The unbearable experiences of the previous life are still vivid in my mind. A person can't forget important things, just like one can never forget hatred. I didn't take it seriously and didn't refute, I just smiled. Then I will definitely cherish this fate, until I turned around and walked into the gate. When I casually looked back, I still found that the car lights were shining faintly white in the dark night. Fu Ruching hadn't left yet. My heart skipped a beat. Just as I was about to turn back to find him, my elder sister blocked me at the door. My elder sister had a ferocious expression on her face, and her lips were as red as if she had eaten a dead child. Lin Tan, you shameless slut. After saying that, she wanted to pull my hair. You seduced Fu Ruching. I'll kill you. Looking at my elder sister's crazy appearance, I almost burst out laughing. I sidestepped to avoid her attack, making her fall to the ground and eat dirt. I covered my mouth and took a few steps back. Sister, why are you performing such a big courtesy when it's not a festival? Although the Fu family has power and influence, you don't have to fawn on me like this, do you? Every word hit her right in the heart. The reason why my elder sister chose the Liang family was that she was blinded by the apparent wealth and prosperity. in her heart. She still regarded Fu Ruching as her own possession and was daydreaming about having the best of both worlds, not to mention that I'm Fu Ruching's fiancé in this life. Even if I were an insignificant stranger, I wouldn't stand by and watch a person like my elder sister harm good people. After laughing enough, I continued, are you feeling lonely at home? You can go to bars and nightclubs more often. Maybe the young master you've been longing for is dancing in some singing and dancing hall. My elder sister didn't know the true nature of Liang Yiming. Thinking that I was belittling her fiancé, she had a look of hatred on her face. Shut up, do you even deserve to be compared with me? I hope you can still laugh when you're locked in the temple and eating chaff and vegetables. By then, I'll become the Mrs. Liang wearing gold and silver. Even if you kneel on the ground and beg me, I won't show mercy. After saying that, she got up resentfully from the ground and turned back to the bedroom. I leaned against the stairs casually and opened my phone to look at today's economic evening news. TSK, the Liang family's stock has dropped another 10 points. I hope it can hold out until the day my elder sister marries into the Liang family. 5. The next day, after Liang Yiming sobered up, he learned who his fiancée was and rushed to my home to admit his mistake and apologize. He talked nonsense seriously, uncle and aunt. I had social engagements last night and accidentally got drunk and lost my memory, but don't worry, our family's business is gradually getting back on track. When Reborn marries me, the crisis will definitely be resolved easily. I rolled my eyes silently. The debt crisis will of course be resolved easily. In addition to the dowry worth tens of millions that can relieve the urgent need, Liang Yiming will also force his future wife to accompany guests and drink, satisfying the perverted tastes of the upper class. For those in the upper class, it's not difficult to find young and beautiful girls to torture. The difficult thing is to find playthings from a higher social background. Perhaps only in this way can they enjoy the so-called pleasure of conquest. In the previous life, Liang Yiming seized the opportunity and sent me out as a favor, making me suffer a lot of abuse. Finally, he got the opportunity to turn the tables. The high-end banquets that seemed so glorious in my elder sister's eyes were just the entrances that pushed me into the abyss again and again. My elder sister was completely unaware of the tragic fate that awaited her. She was elated and whispered in my ear, Lin Tan, just wait. Anyway, you're destined to live like a widow. After you're abandoned, I'll definitely find a few men to play with you until you're completely ruined. You always put on this deadpan face. Let's see if Fu Ruching will still want you then. I curled my lips into a sarcastic smile and raised my arm. Slap. I interrupted my elder sister's endless cursing and also interrupted the conversation between Liang Yiming and my parents in the living room. This slap directly stunned my elder sister, and she burst into tears. Dad, Mom, and my dear, look, Lin Tan is bullying me. My father comforted my elder sister and then said sternly, Tan, what are you doing? Hurry up and apologize to your elder sister. My parents have always been partial to my elder sister. In the previous life, when they saw that I was in a desperate situation, they not only refused to take me home but even mocked me. A married daughter is like spilled water. You have to do whatever Liang Yiming asks you to do. If you want to be clean, then go and die. Won't everything be clean if you're dead? However, when my elder sister was caught cheating, my parents rushed to the Fu family in a hurry to plead for mercy. Although it was ultimately ineffective, the contrast was really disheartening. After being reborn, I have seen many things clearly. For example, now, it's not me who should die, but these heartless people who are the beneficiaries. I squeezed out a few tears. Dad, do you know what sister just said? She actually said that she wanted me to sleep with men. Listen to this. Is this something a person would say? At the same time, I paid attention to observing Liang Yiming's expression. Sure enough, a gloomy look covered Liang Yiming's eyebrows, and his gaze towards my elder sister was tinged with hostility. He never expected that the secret plan would be revealed. My elder sister refused to admit it and tried her best to smear me. She's lying. I didn't say that. I had expected her to quibble. I opened the voice recording app on my phone and clicked play. Just as the sentence, find a few men to play with you until you're completely ruined, was played, the butler rushed in nervously. Something's wrong, sir and madam. Young Master Fu suddenly arrived. I couldn't stop him no matter how hard I tried, and he has already barged in. Fu Ruching's figure was bathed in the morning sunlight, as if surrounded by a layer of sacred and inviolable holy light. However, his eyes were extremely cold, especially when he heard the last sentence of the recording. He gave everyone a cold and indifferent glance, My parents were sweating profusely and quickly greeted him, Ruching. You should have told us in advance that you were coming, so that Tantan could go out to welcome you. Fu Ruching avoided their affectionate touches and said straightforwardly, there's no need for pleasantries. What I want to ask is what Lin Rua just said, ask her to repeat it. If Liang Yiming's mood was one of being angry and ashamed just now. Now he was filled with both fear and shock. He put on an innocent look and said with an embarrassed smile, Mr. Fu, it's all a misunderstanding, let's talk things over properly. In response to him, Fu Ruching didn't hesitate to say a single word, get lost. The scene suddenly became quiet. Everyone knew that Fu Ruching was pure-hearted and had few desires, as indifferent as water. They had never heard him tell someone to get lost before, yet, he had immense power and influence. And no one could afford to provoke him or avoid him, except for me. No one had a pleasant expression on their face. In fact, I didn't really understand the current situation either. I had only met Fu Ruching at most twice. How could he be so angry on my behalf? Before I could think more, Fu Ruching had already walked up to me and pulled me into his arms. Lin Tan, don't be afraid, it's all right now. My nose was filled with the faint fragrance of the incense, which brought my thoughts back to a long, long time ago. An image flashed in my mind, but it vanished in an instant like flowing water. I tried to break free from his embrace, but unexpectedly, Fu Ruching pressed me back, so, I could only mumble in his arms, it's okay, I'm fine now. No matter what Liang Yiming and my elder sister said or did, I wouldn't be easily played by them anymore. How could a person who climbed out of hell be easily swayed by the words of scum? I smiled and looked at my elder sister. Sister, I presented the evidence, so, shouldn't you apologize? My elder sister refused to lower her noble head and kept hiding behind Liang Yiming. My father lost face. On the one hand, he didn't want to scold his precious eldest daughter, and on the other hand, he didn't dare to offend his two well-born sons-in-law, so, he vented all his anger on me. Lin Tan, are you done? Stop making trouble and go upstairs to your room right away. See? It's always like this. I had long since given up hope in them and just found it ridiculous, so, I said calmly, I'm not done yet, but I don't plan to play with you either. Don't you like Lin Rua? Then accompany her and put on a good show of fatherly kindness and daughterly filial piety. Ignoring my parents' surprised shouts, I strode out of the villa. 7. Except for Fu Ruching who chased after me, no one else showed up. I'd bet that my elder sister was absolutely overjoyed right now. No one would snatch Liang Yiming, who she had set her eyes on, and all of the Lin family's hundreds of millions of family fortune would belong to her. On the surface, a happy and fulfilling life seemed to be beckoning to her, but I knew that the Lin family was far from being as glorious as it seemed on the surface. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in such a hurry to marry off their daughters for marriage alliances. It wouldn't be long before the Lin family declared bankruptcy due to heavy debts. In the previous life, my parents didn't hesitate to pass on the debts to me and went abroad to live a good life with the assets they had already transferred. My elder sister didn't know the truth about the bankruptcy and harbored hatred towards me, thinking that I had inherited the family business. Since she envied me, I might as well have the opportunity and give her this mess of the Lin family. Fu Ruching followed me unhurriedly, as if worried that I might do something stupid. I simply sat down on a bench by the roadside and smiled. Don't worry, I'm fine now. Fu Ruching sat beside me and turned his head to look at me. He didn't say anything, and just sitting there quietly was already very good. I closed my eyes, and bits and pieces of the previous life flashed through my mind. Even if I did nothing, my elder sister would still end up in a very tragic situation. But my enemies weren't just her. Whether it was Liang Yiming or my parents, they were all executioners who pushed me into the abyss. Blood debts must be repaid with blood. I proposed a deal. Mr. Fu, could you do me a favor? Once it's done, the assets of the Fu family can at least increase by 200 million. Unexpectedly, Fu Ruching didn't agree immediately. Instead, he asked me where I was going. What about you? I pointed at myself. Me, I have nowhere to go. Would you like to take me in? It was just a joke, but who knew that he seemed to take it seriously? His well-defined fingers tightly grasped my hand, and he said in a hoarse voice, okay, then never leave me. Me, 8. Fortunately, although Fu Ruching's words were intimidating, he didn't actually do anything excessive. During the days I lived in the Fu family, I collected a lot of evidence of the Lin family embezzling public funds and lining their own pockets. They would become the key links on my path of revenge. 3 months later, on the second day of the 10th lunar month, Liang Yiming and my elder sister held a grand wedding. My elder sister was wearing a white wedding dress, with a huge diamond on her ring finger. There was a smug and complacent smile on her face as she enjoyed the compliments and congratulations from others. "Thank you for your blessings, Miss Li. My Yiming just dotes on me, there's nothing I can do about it." I told him not to buy such a luxurious diamond ring. But he actually had someone bring me a pink diamond back from South Africa. "I heard it's worth 200 million, Mrs. Zhao, you're here too, you've noticed it, I'm indeed pregnant. With your kind words, it will definitely be the legitimate eldest grandson of the Liang family. Don't worry, there will be many opportunities in the future. After all, I'm now the only apple of my parents' and Yiming's eyes." My elder sister smiled brightly, until she saw me attending. Her smile immediately froze. "Lin Tan, why are you here? Who let you in?" She waved her hand, intending to ask the security guards to throw me out. The corners of my lips curled up slightly. "Lin Rua, I'm not attending the ceremony in the name of your younger sister today, but as Mrs. Fu. If you drive me away, do you want to reject the investment from the Fu family?" Even the Liang family in its prime couldn't compete with the Fu family, let alone in its current declining situation. I smiled and said, "Sister, I heard that you're pregnant, then don't wear that dyed pink diamond anymore. Chemical dyes are harmful to the body, be careful not to have a miscarriage." "Lin Tan, do you think I'll believe your nonsense? Let me tell you, you'll never be able to enjoy wealth and glory like I do in your life." My elder sister stamped her foot angrily and turned around to entertain other guests. I raised my eyebrows. She was so easily provoked. Wouldn't she be driven crazy by what I was going to do next? An hour later, the ceremony officially began. My parents pretended to be kind and loving parents, as if they were pleased that their daughter had found her final destination. After the bride and groom exchanged diamond rings, they announced that they would give all the shares of the Lin family to my elder sister, and they signed the agreement on the spot, which took effect immediately after signing. The guests present all applauded my parents' generosity, and Liang Yiming was even more overjoyed. My elder sister glanced at me triumphantly and said in a coquettish voice, "Dad, Mom, you spoil me too much. Isn't there still my sister?" Oops, I forgot that my sister was kicked out of the house for being unfilial. How pitiful. There was a lot of discussion among the guests. The news that I had severed my relationship with the Lin family wasn't a secret in the circle, but it hadn't been confirmed either, so many people speculated whether there was still room for negotiation. Unexpectedly, my elder sister didn't hide it at all and said it out loud at the wedding today. For a moment, many people looked at me with either pity or ridicule in their eyes. 9. I stood up gracefully and raised my glass towards my parents from a distance. Although my parents have severed their relationship with me, after all, they gave birth to me and raised me for so many years, I'm still grateful. I always have to give some small gifts. Dad, Mom, oh, Mr. Lin, Mrs. Lin. I heard that you're going to settle in the United States soon. To express my apologies, I can only give you 2 business class tickets. I hope you can live comfortably in the United States. As soon as I said this, the whole room was in an uproar. My elder sister looked confused and turned her head to ask, "Mom and Dad, why are you suddenly going abroad? Why didn't you tell me?" Of course, if they had told her, could my parents have run away carefree? Lin Tan, what are you talking nonsense about? When are we going abroad? My father avoided my gaze and scolded me blusteringly. It was obvious to anyone with discernment that he was feeling guilty. I pretended to be confused and said, "Is that so?" Ruching clearly told me that there was a problem with the family's assets. Alas, anyway, I'm not a daughter of the Lin family anymore. Maybe I made a mistake. After saying that, I sat down leisurely and tightened my hold on Fu Ruching's arm. His body stiffened for a moment, and then he tightened his grip with an irresistible force, as if he wanted to lock me tightly by his side. I smiled to soothe him, looking like an affectionate couple. The people below were laughing, but the people on the stage were about to cry. Liang Yiming snatched the agreement like a madman. After reading it, he called his secretary. After hanging up the phone, his eyes were so red that they seemed to be bleeding. My elder sister didn't understand what was going on and stepped forward to please him. "Honey, what happened? Let's solve it together." Before she could finish speaking, Liang Yiming slapped her to interrupt her. My elder sister rolled down from the half-meter-high platform, hit her head on the pillar, and fainted on the spot. There was a cut on her forehead, and blood was gushing out. Not only that, Liang Yiming rushed in front of my parents and swung his fist at their old faces. What was supposed to be a wonderful wedding banquet turned into a brawl scene. Escorted by bodyguards, I left the scene unharmed. Looking at the tall rainbow gate, I squinted my eyes. I knew that Liang Yiming and my elder sister had already obtained their marriage certificate. And my elder sister chose to inherit the property, along with the debts. The huge debt that the Liang family owed hadn't been paid off yet, and now they had an additional 200 million in joint marital debt. TSK, so pitiful. I hope they can get through this disaster smoothly and then rot and stink together in prison. 10. The next day, the front pages of major newspapers were all news about the bankruptcy of the Lin family and Liang Yiming's violent behavior at the wedding. My elder sister was admitted to the hospital. Fortunately, she didn't have a miscarriage. My parents suffered a mild concussion from the beating and claimed that they would sue Liang Yiming for intentional injury. However, before the lawyer could come, the police arrested them. The reason was that they were suspected of occupational embezzlement and foreign exchange evasion. Due to the huge amount involved, they were likely to be sentenced to more than 10 years in prison. They cried and begged me to save them. I sat on the chair with an unchanged expression. I'm a married daughter, like spilled water. It's only right and proper to pay off debts. If you don't want to go to jail, it's simple. Then you can just die. Everything will be clean if you're dead. It was the same words as in the previous life, but the difference was that I had become the one who controlled their fate. Lin Tan, you ungrateful wretch. If I had known this, I should have strangled you to death when you were born. My mother cried and roared. I tilted my head. Very well. There's one more charge for going to jail. Bodyguards, take Mr. and Mrs. Lin to the police station and say that they're suspected of attempted murder. My parents were dragged out the door, and their cries gradually faded away. Fu Ruqing walked up to me and looked at me with a complicated expression. I took his hand and pressed it against my face. Do you think I'm bad? I can even be so heartless towards my own parents. According to Buddhist teachings, people like me should go to hell, Fu Ruqing said in a low voice. No, his lips pressed against mine. They were a bit cold, but they gave me infinite strength. You're saving yourself, saving myself. People like me can either destroy themselves or destroy their enemies. Do I even deserve to turn over a new leaf? After dealing with my parents, I went to the hospital. The ward was filled with the strong smell of disinfectant, which was pungent and choking. My elder sister was lying in the hospital bed, and there wasn't even a caregiver by her side. I casually picked up the apple on the table and started peeling it while chatting. Sister, how pitiful you are. Mom and Dad are really something. They actually transferred the shorted company to you, and your husband is absurd too. Isn't it just taking on an additional 200 million in debt out of the blue? Is it necessary to hit people in public? My elder sister gritted her teeth so hard that sparks seemed to fly. She itched to eat my flesh and drink my blood. Bitch, you knew everything all along, didn't you? You framed me. I smiled. You chose your husband, and you signed the documents yourself. I didn't do anything from beginning to end. It's just that you brought this upon yourself. Don't be so complacent. The Liang family has a big business. Sooner or later, they will avenge this humiliation, and I'm pregnant with Liang Yiming's child now. Once he's born, I'll be the legitimate Mrs. Liang. My elder sister kept stroking her belly, not sure if she was threatening me or comforting herself. My gaze fixed on her slightly swollen belly, and I shrugged. I hope this child can bring you wealth and glory. I forgot to remind you, some people really like the pregnant woman play. I hope you and your child can withstand such intense activities. My elder sister frowned. What do you mean? You live a life like a widow, so don't meddle in other people's married life. I turned around and smiled. Then I wish you a stimulating and enjoyable sex life. Mrs. Liang, 11. The next time I saw Liang Yiming was at a dinner party a month later. The 200 million in foreign debt was like the last straw that broke the camel's back, making him irritable and easily angered. Yet he could only grovel. As soon as Fu Ruqing and I arrived at the hall, Liang Yiming came to beg humbly, Mr. Fu Tan, for the sake of our being relatives, please be magnanimous and give us a hand. As long as you invest 500 million in the Liang group, the Liang family can be revived, and our two families can grow and become stronger together. Fu Ruqing seemed not to have heard his voice and kept his eyes fixed on my reaction. I covered my lips and chuckled. Brother-in-law, we're family, so we don't need to stand on ceremony. Lin Rua is my biological elder sister. Of course I want to help you, but you also know that my parents severed their relationship with me because of her, and my heart is really cold. When Liang Yiming heard my elder sister's name, his eyes turned scarlet. He ordered the servants to drag my elder sister out and forced her to apologize to me. Betrayed by her husband like this, my elder sister wished she could kill Liang Yiming, but for some reason, she, who had always been shrewd and assertive, didn't even dare to make a peep at this moment. I had sharp eyes and saw the purple and blue marks under her evening dress. At a glance, they looked like the bruises from being beaten, glared at by Liang Yiming. My elder sister's legs went weak. She gritted her teeth and squeezed out a sentence. Sorry, sister, I was too willful in the past. I hope you can forgive me. After all, we are family. Besides me, who else can treat you with all my heart? I watched her performance with great interest and nodded. Okay, then let me see your sincerity, sister. My elder sister's eyes lit up, and she was overly attentive as she said, let's go to the side and catch up. Sisters, don't delay the men from discussing important matters, Fu Ruqing said in a deep voice. Lin Tan, I winked at him, turned back to my elder sister, and said, since sister has spoken, let's go. When we arrived at the bedroom on the second floor, my elder sister closed the door and somehow brought out a glass of red wine. Sister, let's bury the hatchet with a glass of wine. Seeing the wine glass brought to my lips, I took it and said with a half-smile, you want me to drink it? A trace of panic flashed in my elder sister's eyes, and her gaze kept wandering towards the balcony. Pregnant women can't drink alcohol, so of course you're the only one who can drink it, I sneered, raised my arm, and then splashed all the wine on her face. My elder sister was caught off guard and splashed all over her face. She covered her face and let out a scream. Lin Tan, you bitch, Mr. Li, come quickly and hold her down. The balcony door was opened, and a fat man appeared behind the curtains. He seemed to think that I couldn't escape even if I had wings. He walked towards me with a lecherous smile. Little beauty, if you don't want to get hurt, you'd better obediently submit to me, otherwise. Before he could finish speaking, I picked up the dinner knife and stabbed it into his stomach. Blood splashed on my face. I casually wiped it and showed a smile. Do you want me to accompany you to sleep in hell? 12. The man's heavy begging for mercy and my elder sister's crying filled my ears. I dropped the knife, opened the door, and walked out step by step, unexpectedly. Fu Ruqing was standing at the door. I instinctively covered the blood on my body and carefully said, sorry. Before I could finish speaking, I was suddenly pulled into his arms. The blood stained his clothes, spreading out large ripples. A scalding tear fell on my neck. I couldn't tell who was stirred up with affection. I was picked up by him and rushed to the car. The hug turned into a kiss, and the kiss turned into more unrestrained actions. The blood-stained clothes were taken off one by one, revealing the most fundamental aspects of human nature. After everything turned upside down, I finally soiled the god who was untouched by the world. It's okay, let's go to hell together. 13. When I woke up the next day, I found myself lying in the bedroom. Fu Ruqing wasn't by my side, but my body had been cleaned. I took a look at my phone, and it seemed that no big news had broken out. Just as I was in a daze, the police called me. Ms. Lin, hello, may I ask if Lin Rua is your relative? After getting an answer, the police continued. She was found unconscious in a hotel. There are multiple injuries on her body, and it is suspected that she has suffered illegal infringement. In the ward, my elder sister was on a ventilator, and various medical instruments were barely maintaining her vital signs. Even so, she still firmly grabbed the corner of my clothes, full of resentment. Lin Tan, it's her who made me like this. She also stabbed Mr. Li. Make Lin Tan go to jail. The police looked solemn. After making a call to verify, they helplessly explained, Mr. Li was indeed injured last night, but he claimed that he accidentally fell and accidentally stabbed himself in the abdomen with a knife. I understood in my heart. No wonder Fu Ruqing wasn't at home early in the morning. It turned out that he had gone to deal with this matter, whether by coercion or inducement. He could always achieve unexpected results. I smiled and said, Mr. Li was really careless. I thought it was my sister who accidentally stabbed him while playing some bold games with him. By the way, officer, I can see that my sister is seriously injured. I don't know what she has gone through. Could you please tell me? I learned from the police that after the party last night, my sister was forcibly taken away by several men covering her mouth. Strangely enough, Liang Yiming watched his wife being assaulted but did nothing. If it weren't for the eyewitness accounts of several witnesses, no one would believe that such an outrageous thing could happen. I pretended to be sad and let out a deep sigh. My brother-in-law is being naughty again. You know, the economic situation of the Liang family hasn't been good recently. I didn't expect him to really set his sights on my sister. it's really a sin." The words were half true and half false, but they were enough to provide the police with a new direction. The police took their leave and prepared to investigate the criminal facts of Liang Yiming, and I stayed in the ward, reached out, and patted my elder sister's face. "Sister, does it feel good to marry Liang Yiming?" My elder sister widened her eyes in disbelief. You. I spread my hands and smiled. "I have reminded you many times, it's you who are too stupid. In the end, you still wanted to drag me down, but instead, you got yourself into trouble." I had met that Mr. Li in my previous life. He was a regular customer who patronized Liang Yiming's business. Presumably, in this life, Liang Yiming again had the idea of making his wife accompany guests and asked my elder sister to offer herself. My elder sister didn't want to wait for her doom. She deliberately led me into that room, but unexpectedly, she got herself into trouble instead. Liang Yiming didn't expect that my elder sister would mess up two things at once. The fantasy of repairing the relationship with the Fu family was shattered, and he offended the big benefactor, Mr. Li, in a fit of anger. It was not impossible for him to find other places and send my elder sister there to accompany guests. Seeing the mockery in my eyes, my elder sister was terrified. "It's impossible. I exchanged lives with you. All your power and love should be mine." I don't believe it. I don't believe it." I lowered my eyes and looked at her, clicking my tongue in amazement. "This is my past experience, the love and intact body that you want." My elder sister let out a hoarse roar, and upon careful listening, she was actually calling Fu Ruqing's name. She struggled so violently that she accidentally pulled out the tube inserted into her body. I curled the corners of my lips and kindly called the nurse for her. My elder sister still had a long life ahead of her. Long enough for her to have enough time to reflect on her failed life. 14. After Liang Yiming was taken back by the police for investigation, the Liang family's stock was like a roller coaster that had reached its peak and quickly plummeted. Those former benefactors not only didn't help but were afraid of getting themselves into trouble. They even added insult to injury. They couldn't wait to fabricate the news that Liang Yiming had accompanied others to bed. Regardless of whether this matter was true or false, his act of forcing women to accompany guests was suspected of violating the criminal law, and he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. This matter wasn't over yet. 10 years was just a matter of time. I could wait. When Liang Yiming is released from prison, I will throw him into a group of men myself and let him have a good taste of what hell is like. When I walked out of the court, the weather was extremely good, with not a cloud in the sky. Fu Ruqing was standing at the front of the car waiting for me. I waved at him and ran over quickly. "Mr. Fu, have you been waiting for me for a long time?" Fu Ruqing shook his head. "I like waiting for you." I bit his earlobe and smiled cunningly. "Can you say it in a different way? For example?" Fu Ruqing said simply, "I will wait for you for a lifetime." After a pause, he added, "I like you, for 2 lifetimes." He looked at me intently, and his dark eyes seemed to suck me in. I smiled sweetly. "Is that so? Do you like me that much?" To explain clearly, he moved his lips, but I stood on tiptoe and kissed him. "In this life, there is enough time for us to be together, and I will wait for the answer I want." Extra chapter. From Fu Ruqing's perspective, I have never told anyone that I met Lin Tan in my previous life, not just once. The first time we met was at her wedding with Liang Yiming. Clearly, the surroundings were bustling with noise and the gongs and drums were resounding, but there was not the slightest trace of joy on her face. She was only 22 years old, in the prime of her life, but she was like a withered tree whose fire had been extinguished. She seemed to be the fuel that made the Lin family prosperous. 5 years passed by in a flash. After experiencing Lin Rua's infidelity and Lin Tan's parents fleeing abroad with the money, the prestigious Lin family finally collapsed. I would occasionally think of Lin Tan. I wondered how she would cope with the situation when the birds flew away and the forest was deserted. I thought that the Liang family should protect her. After all, they had once been a wealthy family and wouldn't be too harsh on a helpless woman. Unexpectedly, I would find Lin Tan, bruised and battered, on my way back to the mountain. It was pouring with rain that day. I didn't know how she fainted on the mountain road, and her body was soaked in blood. There was a medical station on the mountain. I took her back for an examination and found that the injuries on her body were far beyond my imagination. Moreover, she was blind. According to the doctor, it was due to a retinal detachment caused by external force. My heart shook, although I didn't know what Lin Tan had gone through these years. I understood that I definitely couldn't hand her back to the Liang family. When she woke up, she looked at me with empty eyes. Although I knew she couldn't see, I couldn't help feeling a little nervous. Lin Tan sniffed and said, "It's the smell of incense. This should be a temple, right? Did you save me, little master?" I let out an She had only met me once and had never spoken to me before, so it was normal that she didn't remember me. After hesitating for a while, I slowly said, "Your eyes." "My eyes are blind. Fortunately, I'm still alive. It's a blessing in misfortune." Lin Tan blinked at me, as if smiling, but I could clearly feel that she was crying. "Well, then you can stay here for now. There will usually be volunteers and lay Buddhists to take care of you." Unexpectedly, Lin Tan said, "Thank you, little master. You monks are truly kind. You even saved someone as dirty and ignorant as me. How can I repay you?" I was at a loss for words and fled in a hurry. With the influence of the Fu family in Beijing, it was easy to find out the evil deeds that Liang Yiming had done over the years. A thin document recorded all kinds of incidents in which Lin Tan was humiliated and trampled on. For the first time, I had the intention to kill someone. It wasn't just because he disregarded human ethics and did heinous things, but also because he had done such unforgivable things to Lin Tan. Liang Yiming deserved to die. And the Liang family really deserved to be destroyed. When I finished dealing with this matter and returned to the mountain, I saw Lin Tan sitting on the meditation cushion in a daze. She had never kowtowed or burned incense, and there was no sign of her reverence for gods and Buddhas. I was already used to it and walked past her without changing my expression. Unexpectedly, she suddenly called me, "Little master. Did you break the precepts when you went down the mountain?" "Why do you ask that?" She smiled and said, "Because I can smell the smell of blood on you." The sense of smell of a blind person is very sensitive. I paused. "No," Lin Tan nodded, deep in thought. 2 days later, she actually sneaked down the mountain by herself and then stumbled back with more injuries. When I took her back to the side room, she was still laughing. The retribution came really quickly. Liang Yiming actually went to prison. He had done so many disgusting things and should have ended up like this long ago. She then shouted, "No, I should have killed him." Killed him. After saying that, she desperately shook my lapel. I helplessly soothed her. "When you're better, go and kill him yourself." "Of course, I will help you," I said silently in my heart. I knew that I had broken the precepts, so it didn't matter if I broke them one more time. But Lin Tan ultimately didn't hold on until the day Liang Yiming was released from prison. Her body had suffered too much torture, like a campfire whose firewood was gradually being removed, and it could never return to the bright moments of the past. Lin Tan leaned against me, gasping for breath with difficulty. "Thank you, little master. Thank you for taking me in. I'm really happy." Someone once told me, "Those who haven't known suffering won't believe in gods and Buddhas." But I've endured so much suffering and still don't believe much. It was said that Fu Ruqing went into seclusion on the spot, feeling disgusted. From me, her voice gradually weakened and finally faded into silence. I hugged her body tightly and said hoarsely, "I know. I knew the cause and effect of the tragedy, who the person she mentioned was, and that from then on, there was someone living in my heart. This life came too late. Will we be able to meet in the next life?" When I opened my eyes again, I was back in the past. When I received the call from Lin Tan's parents, my heart was pounding wildly, and I was already prepared to refuse. However, the name they mentioned was Lin Tan's. I immediately drove to the Lin family. Under the dazzling crystal lights, Lin Tan smiled brightly and retorted Lin Rua with veiled sarcasm at the same time. I couldn't help but look at her. And I also wanted her to keep looking at me. There would be no more filthy things coveting my person. Those who had hurt her deserved to die, whether it was the bankruptcy of the Lin family or the collapse of the Liang family. I had a hand in it. Next, I dealt with Liang Yiming, Lin Rua, and that man surnamed Li one by one. I won't let them die easily, because sometimes living is more painful than dying. That night, I was finally able to hold Lin Tan in my arms openly, in the name of a lover. She was curious about where my deep affection came from. I will spend my whole life answering. It came from the previous life. Story 2. After my rebirth, I proactively placed the divorce agreement in front of Zhou. He didn't even glance at it and tossed the document aside, saying, "I won't give you custody of our son." "I don't want custody." Zhou looked up. "You've come to terms with it." "Yes, I have. In my previous life, I couldn't bear to leave my son behind and clung to Zhou for most of our lives, until our son grew up. But on his wedding day, he declared in front of everyone, "I hope my mom can make way for my dad and Aunt Lin. Aunt Lin has had it tough staying with my dad all these years. I will never do my homework." you forcing me won't help." 8-year-old Joyran was sprawled on the floor, throwing a tantrum, looking utterly defiant. And such scenes occurred daily. I insisted he finish his homework before playing. I limited his TV time to half an hour. I only allowed him to eat fried chicken burgers once a week. I set many rules for him, hoping to cultivate good habits, but these habits became a joke the day Lin Yaki appeared. He accused me. "Aunt Lin never makes me do homework, she just plays with me. Aunt Lin doesn't stop me from eating drumsticks, she says boys need to eat more to grow tall. I don't like you at all. I wish Aunt Lin could be my mom." Even though I was heartbroken to hear these words in my previous life, I chose to forgive him. I thought he was just too young to understand, and that he would appreciate my intentions when he grew up. I still pushed him to study hard, to exercise, and to eat well. As an adult, he graduated from a prestigious university, started his own company, and married a well-matched wife. On his wedding day, the host asked him to thank his parents. In front of all the guests, he said to me, "I hope you can make way for my dad and Aunt Lin, who has been with my dad for so many years." Lin Yaki cried like a fountain below the stage. It seemed as if the hardships she endured over the years were all worth it at that moment, and I, standing on stage, appeared redundant and foolish. "Mom, you forced me to do things I didn't want to do since I was a child. If it weren't for Aunt Lin's quiet warmth and encouragement behind the scenes, I would have been ruined. You and Dad had no marital affection left. Why keep occupying this position, making everyone unhappy?" I don't know how I managed to leave Joyran's wedding in such a daze. All I knew was that after I walked out of the hotel, I was hit by a car due to jaywalking and then unexpectedly reborn. Watching my mischievous son at this moment, I nodded. "Okay, no homework." Joyran, lying on the ground, looked up at me in surprise. "Are you serious?" "Of course," I said calmly. "Can I continue watching TV now?" "Not only can you watch TV, but you can also play on the tablet." "Can I eat chips while playing?" Joyran asked, pushing his luck. "Whatever you want." "Why are you suddenly so nice to me?" Joyran asked in surprise. I just smiled and said nothing. "An ungrateful wretch doesn't deserve my sincerity." "Is it because you're afraid I'll only like Aunt Lin in the future and not you?" Joyran said smugly. "Whatever you want in the future, I'll support it," I said deliberately, pausing between each word, "including your favorite Aunt Lin." After satisfying all of Joyran's unreasonable demands, he became increasingly uncontrollable. The first thing he did after coming home from school was to play on his tablet. He played during meals. He even slept clutching the tablet. If he stayed up too late and couldn't wake up, I wouldn't call him. I let him sleep until he woke up naturally. If he wanted to go to school upon waking, he could. If not, I wouldn't force him. I let him indulge in his favorite snacks. I've had enough of handling everything myself. Even the maid couldn't stand it anymore and kindly advised me, "Madam, by spoiling the young master this way, you're actually ruining him." "How could that be?" I retorted sarcastically. "Forcing him to do things he dislikes would truly be the ruin of him." However, such days didn't last long before my son Joyran's unusual behavior started causing dissatisfaction at school. His homeroom teacher called me, saying that Joyran was being defiant in class, unabashedly telling the teacher, "My parents don't bother with me, what right do you have to do so?" "I'm sorry, I really can't control him. If there's any issue, please contact my husband instead." I gave the teacher my husband's number. After hanging up, I continued with my beauty treatment. When I finished my beauty treatment and returned home, I found Josuyu, who rarely comes home, standing in the living room. His face looked extremely unpleasant, his voice tinged with sarcasm. "Shunshi, your tactics are getting more sophisticated, using our son to force me to come back." I did indeed want Josuyu to come back. After all, calling him was useless. I can't remember when Josuyu and I started having such a hostile relationship. We were clearly in love freely, married voluntarily, shared hardships, and started a business together. Once the company stabilized, I stepped back to focus on supporting my husband and raising our child. I devoted too much energy to our son, and by the time I realized something was off with Josuyu, he had already emotionally strayed. His attention was on Lin Yaki, a 20-year-old intern at the company, youthful and delicate. I accidentally saw the messages between Josuyu and her. Josuyu wrote, "You remind me of my wife when she was young. She was as lovely and delicate as you, and now," Lin Yaki asked, sending a curious and cute emoticon, "now, she's gotten plump, and sometimes being intimate with her feels a bit sickening." I never expected to be perceived that way by Josuyu. That incident enraged me like never before. feeling deeply insulted. I insisted on a divorce. Zhou Ziyu didn't agree, explaining it was just harmless flirting and told me not to overreact. Both our parents tried to persuade me, mentioning our 2-year-old child, urging me to not hold it against Zhou Ziyu this time. Zhou Ziyu also swore he would not contact Lin Yaqi again and immediately fired her to show his loyalty to me. Moreover, at that time, Zhou Ziyu indeed hadn't had a real affair with Lin Yaqi. Eventually, I chose to forgive him. I even began to reflect on whether I had indeed focused too much on our child, thereby neglecting Zhou Ziyu and myself. As I tried to change, Zhou Ziyu physically cheated. As I was at the hospital caring for Zhou Yiran, who suddenly developed a high fever, I called Zhou Ziyu. He responded impatiently, "Enough, Shenxi. I'm just out for business entertaining. Stop finding reasons to force me back." Alone in the hospital with Zhou Yiran, I received a photo from Lin Yaqi late at night. It was explicit. She said, "President Zhou says even if you lost weight, you'd still be ugly, not delicate and cute like me." That moment made me realize, once a man cheats, he cheats. There's no distinction between emotional and physical. Once again, I demanded a divorce. This time, Zhou Ziyu didn't refuse, but he insisted that Zhou Yiran must stay with him. At that point, for me, Zhou Yiran is everything in my life. I have poured all my love into him. He's only 3 years old, his world revolves around me, and without me by his side, he won't sleep until dawn. I can't bear to leave him. I've thought about fighting for custody in court, but I haven't worked for years and can't compete with Zhou Ziyu. Our marriage has been entangled like this. He never gave up on seeking custody. I've always insisted on having it. As time went by, Zhou Yiran grew up, and I seem to have gotten used to this broken marriage. Sometimes, getting used to something can be truly terrifying. I deeply despised Zhou Ziyu's infidelity, yet I ended up spending most of my life with him. Fortunately, fate gave me a chance to start over. I opened the drawer and calmly handed the divorce papers to Zhou Ziyu. When he saw the papers, he laughed sarcastically. "Shenxi, I thought you had come to your senses after all this time without making a fuss. What's this now? Isn't the money I give you each month enough?" "It's not enough," I replied. "How much do you want?" Zhou Ziyu asked generously. "Half of the company's assets." "What are you thinking, Shenxi? Have you lost your mind?" Zhou Ziyu was furious. "The company was founded together by us and belongs to our marital assets. I've consulted a lawyer, and I am rightfully entitled to half," I asserted. "And then," Zhou Ziyu said impatiently, "unless we divorce, all this remains marital property. So isn't that what I'm doing now?" I gestured towards the divorce papers. Zhou Ziyu scoffed dismissively and tossed the papers aside. "I'm not giving you custody of our son. I don't want it." Zhou Ziyu looked up. "Have you come to terms with it?" "I have," impatiently. Zhou Ziyu picked up the divorce papers again and started to read them seriously. "I didn't ask for more than what I was entitled to. Furthermore, I willingly gave the custody of Zhou Yiran to Zhou Ziyu." Zhou Ziyu frowned deeply and put down the papers. "Shenxi, you'd better not regret this. Giving up custody means you can't see our son without my permission. I know, once we divorce, there's no way we'll get back together, even for the sake of our son," Zhou Ziyu threatened. "Sign it," I urged, not wanting to waste words with Zhou Ziyu. If I hadn't been kept away from him, the first thing I would have done after my rebirth was to seek a divorce from him. Seeing my resolve, Zhou Ziyu signed his name flamboyantly. "Shenxi, you've brought this on yourself. If it weren't for your constant pressure, considering our son and our years of history, you could have remained Mrs. Zhou for life. It's you who didn't cherish that." "Who cares?" I said indifferently. In my previous life, maintaining a marriage with Zhou Ziyu was never about clinging to the status of Mrs. Zhou. It was purely the bond of blood. "Pack your things and get out of my house," Zhou Ziyu said as he threw the signed divorce agreement at me. My bags were already packed. I was just waiting to divorce Zhou Ziyu. I turned and walked upstairs. Zhou Yiran had also come home from school with Zhou Ziyu, having been told by his teacher to reflect at home for a couple of days before returning to school. He had been hiding in a corner, eavesdropping on my conversation with Zhou Ziyu. Seeing me leave, he hurriedly followed. "Are you really divorcing Dad?" Zhou Yiran asked me. "Happy now," I said lightly, carrying my luggage. "No one will be there to boss you around anymore. You can do anything you want," I said softly. "Aren't you afraid that after you divorce Dad, no one will want you anymore?" He asked. "Who told you that no one would want me?" I asked with a laugh, looking at him. "Grandma and Dad both said it," Zhou Yiran replied calmly. "They said you're not good enough for Dad. That no one would want you after you divorce him, that you wouldn't dare to divorce Dad." I couldn't help but laugh. I had seen through Josué a long time ago. I didn't expect his mother to be the same. She always pretended to be a good person, complaining about her son in front of me, acknowledging how hard I worked raising the child. Turns out, behind my back, she just saw me as a free nanny for her grandson. But of course, it doesn't matter anymore. From now on, they are just irrelevant people. Just promise me you'll really stay out of my life, as well as Dad's and Aunt Lynn's, and I'll plead with Dad not to divorce you. Josué negotiated with me. No need, I said, gently patting his head. Take good care of yourself from now on, because from now on, his growth has nothing to do with me anymore. I left, dragging 2 large suitcases behind me. I didn't look back. I moved into a nicely furnished apartment I had found in advance, near University A. I'm preparing to take the entrance exams for graduate school. To further my education, Josué and I were college classmates. I gave up a guaranteed spot for postgraduate studies to help him start a business. After the business succeeded and we had our son, I shifted my focus to the family. I've always regretted not pursuing a master's or doctoral degree, having been reborn. I deeply realized that one must live for oneself. No one else can truly share your feelings. The day after I moved out of the Zhou family villa, I saw Lin Yaqi had posted on her social media. She had added me first, at the company's anniversary celebration, which I attended with Josué. Lin Yaqi complimented my earrings and asked for the link on WeChat. Later, she got the same pair of earrings, not bought by her, but gifted by Josué. Her post today read, "Poverty limits my imagination. Is such a huge backyard meant for playing football?" Attached was a photo of the back garden of the Zhou family villa. Clearly, her intention was to declare to the world that she was now openly with Josué, no longer the shameful mistress. I promptly liked the post, a match made in heaven, shameless and eternal. After I liked the post, Lin Yaqi immediately messaged me privately. "Shinshi, you wouldn't mind me posting that, right?" Ziyu insisted I post it, saying he's been unfair to me all these years, to provoke me. Lin Yaqi occasionally sent intimate photos of her and Josué, or wrote about how much Josué loved her, then she would delete them shortly after, with a quick apology. "Sorry, sent that by mistake." I used to lose my temper and argue with Josué because of her antics. Ultimately, it only worsened the relationship between Josué and me. He hardly came home anymore, even taking Josué to celebrate his birthdays with Lin Yaqi. Every time Josué returned from Lin Yaqi's place, he would say, "Aunt Lin is so nice to me, she's gentle and beautiful, I want her to be my mom." Looking back, I don't know how I endured it all in my past life. Fortunately, the pain was deep, leaving no room for attachment. I replied with a smile, "Why would I mind? Didn't I already give you a like? Are you showing off for Ziyu?" Lin Yaqi assumed that my divorce from Josué was just a spur-of-the-moment decision. I didn't want to deal with it anymore. It wasn't worth wasting time on such people. I was about to block Lin Yaqi. Then she sent another message, "You forgot to take something with you." Impossible. I check every day. There's no way I could have left anything behind. Lin Yaqi then sent a photo. It was a box of condoms. I generously replied, "I've given them to you. They're expired." Lin Yaqi sent a laughing emoji and added, "You haven't finished these from years ago. Ziyu uses several each day here. We can't buy them fast enough." Well, isn't that perfect? The trash I don't want. You enjoy recycling. Consider it making good use of waste. I replied calmly, "Who are you calling trash?" Lin Yaqi was instantly infuriated. As she furiously typed, I blocked her right away. Out of sight, out of mind. After blocking Lin Yaqi, my social circle felt much more refreshing. With no more disturbances, I devoted myself entirely to my graduate entrance exam preparations. A month later, I suddenly received a call from Josué. He bluntly asked, "Shinshi, where have you been hiding? If you didn't want to divorce, why the act? It's too late now." I then remembered. Today was the last day of the divorce cooling-off period. It was time to go to the Civil Affairs office to get the divorce certificate. "I'm heading to the Civil Affairs office right now." I hung up the phone and didn't dare delay a second longer, pressing the gas pedal straight to the Civil Affairs office. Josué saw me arrive with a sarcastic smile. When we went to register for the divorce, we had agreed to meet at 10 o'clock this morning. It was already noon, and the staff at the Civil Affairs office had gone off duty. "Shinshi, when you made me sign the divorce papers, I had said regretting it later would be futile. What are you trying to pull today? We must get divorced." Josué sneered. "Fine," I agreed readily. "I should thank you. If you hadn't stepped aside, I wouldn't have known how well Lin Yaqi, despite her young age, could take care of children. When you looked after our son, it was chaos, but everything has been perfect since Lin Yaqi came," Zhou boasted. "Congratulations on marrying such a capable wife," I responded, still being tough. Zhou said with disdain, "Let's see how long you can keep it up." When I received the divorce certificate, I breathed a huge sigh of relief. I was afraid that my delay would exhaust Zhou's patience and he would walk away. I really didn't want to waste another moment on him. "Shenxi," Zhou called out loudly behind me because I was leaving quickly. "From now on, we have nothing to do with each other. If you ever regret this." I drove off, not wanting to hear another word from Zhou. Now free, I felt even more motivated in my studies. Every day, apart from studying hard, I made sure to exercise regularly. I couldn't let myself end up with health issues like in my previous life. Half a year later, after relentless effort, I finally succeeded. During this period, Zhou called me, hesitantly asking, "Mom, did you miss me?" I honestly replied, "No, because Mom has been very busy. Today is my 9th birthday." He sounded somewhat dejected. "Happy birthday," I smiled as I offered my blessings. "Don't you want to spend my birthday with me? Your father said that without his permission, I can't see you alone." "Can't you ask Dad for permission?" Zhou was somewhat agitated. "No, I can't. Why must you always be at odds with Dad?" "Actually, Dad, let's not talk about this anymore. I have important things to do." I took the initiative to hang up Zhou's call. This was something that would have never happened before. I used to wait for him to hang up first before I would put down my phone. "See, actually, there's nothing that can't be let go of, as long as you're disappointed enough." One late night during my graduate studies, I suddenly received a call from Zhou. I hadn't blocked Zhou because I thought he would never contact me first. Indeed, over a year since our divorce, he had been a decent ex, as good as dead, half asleep. I didn't check who was calling. "Hello, Shenxi. I'm not going to give you another chance." Zhou's voice was cold. "Huh." I was utterly confused. Was he possessed? "Lin Yaqi is pregnant with my child, and I'm going to marry her," he declared proudly. "Congratulations," I said politely, though annoyed to be woken up in the middle of the night. "Huh." Zhou seemed to scoff. Then he hung up the phone. I didn't take it seriously, that is, until I received the wedding invitation from Zhou and Lin Yaqi. I suspected they sent it to the wrong person. But my full name was on the invitation. Of course, just because they invited me didn't mean I had to go. I simply threw the invitation away. But then that day, Zhou called me. "Mom, why haven't you arrived?" "Arrived where?" I hadn't caught on yet. "At the hotel for Dad and Aunt Lin's wedding." "I didn't say I was coming, but didn't Dad send you an invitation?" "I came early to save you a seat. Why aren't you coming?" Zhou's voice was breaking. I felt unmoved and simply said, "I have my own matters to attend to. I can't make it." "Thanks for saving me a seat. You can give it to someone else now." As I was about to hang up, "Are those matters more important than me?" Zhou asked, devastated. I thought for a moment and answered very seriously, "Yes, they are more important than you. You are not important at all, after rejecting my son." Zhou called again. "Shenxi, are you unhappy about me marrying Lin Yaqi? Are you taking it out on our son?" "What?" I was baffled. "What did you just say to our son? He's been crying." "I didn't scold him," I explained. "Stop making excuses. You're just upset that I married Lin Yaqi, so you're taking it out on our son." At that moment, I was speechless. "Admit it," Zhou said coldly, seeing I hadn't responded. "It's too late for regrets now. I wish you and Lin Yaqi a lifetime of happiness." After hanging up, I blocked Zhou as well. I thought that after Zhou and Lin Yaqi's marriage, I thought there would be no more interaction between us. Yet, within less than a month, Zhou suddenly appeared at the entrance of University A. I was just leaving the lab with my senior, discussing data along the way. Out of the blue, I saw Zhou waiting for me at the gate with Zhou. How did he know I was pursuing my master's degree? When Zhou saw me, his gaze lingered on the person next to me. It seemed like there was anger in his eyes, or perhaps it was just my imagination. He said sarcastically, "I was wondering why you abandoned your son. It turns out Shenxi has a new love. Does he know you were married and have a son?" "I'm aware." Before I could speak, my senior, Chen Zhiqing, responded proactively. "I heard her ex-husband was a scumbag." "Do you know him?" I couldn't help but laugh. Zhou's face turned dark. He coldly stated, "I need to speak with Shenxi," meaning that he wanted Chen Zhiqing to leave. Chen Zhiqing ignored him and asked me, "Any trouble?" "No." I smiled at him. "You can go back first. I'll return soon after. Call me if you need anything." I'll call the police for you. Okay, Chin-Chiching left, can't bear to part, can you? Zhou mocked. I shifted my gaze back to him. What do you want? Is it fun to block me? Zhou retorted. Why keep someone irrelevant around? I responded calmly, so you're abandoning your son too, aren't you? I glanced at Zhou Ran. Zhou Ran was looking at me with hopeful eyes. I smiled. It's him who doesn't want me, and I respect his choice. I didn't abandon you. Zhou Ran quickly said, I want to be with you forever. I approached Zhou Ran, noting he had gained weight, and said with a smile, have you forgotten, you told me yourself that you wanted Aunt Lin to be your mom, and now she is, shouldn't you be happy? Zhou Ran's eyes reddened, and he seemed to be struggling. Zhou cut to the chase. Yaki is pregnant and suffers from gestational syndrome, which makes her easily irritable. The doctor said she needs a quiet environment, so, during this time, our son needs to stay with you. But I'm very busy, the lab workload is huge. And I also need to prepare for my doctoral exams, I said, clearly distressed. Is reading some books more important than your son? Zhou exploded upon hearing this. What use is there in getting old and still studying? How much money can it bring? Isn't the property I divided enough for your lifetime? Shin-Shi, what are you pretending for here? I didn't want to argue with Zhou, but some people really push their limits. Taking a deep breath, I asked him, Zhou, in all the years we were together, did I ever wrong you? Why bring this up all of a sudden? Zhou grew agitated. I have never wronged you. I've been dedicated to you, our son, and our former home. Now that we're divorced, and you insisted on custody, and our son said he preferred Lin Yaki, I've facilitated everyone's wishes. Now I'm living my own life. How am I in the wrong? When did I say you were wrong? Then why question my pursuit of a master's and a doctorate? Isn't this a critical period? Can't you, for the sake of our son, why do I always have to make sacrifices? I asked Zhou coldly, laughing. When we graduated from university together, you asked me to give up my research opportunity to start a business with you. After our business succeeded and we had our son, you wanted me to sacrifice my career to return to the family. Then, after our divorce, as you wished, I gave up custody of our son. The more I spoke, the more absurd it seemed to me. Now, you have a new family and no longer need your son. You want me to sacrifice myself again to contribute to your happiness. Zhou, don't you think you're being shameless? When did I say I no longer needed my son? I only said that during Lin Yaki's pregnancy, you could temporarily take care of him. I will double the child support, Zhou retorted, clearly agitated by my words. What if Lin Yaki gets postpartum depression? Or develops nervous exhaustion after that? There are so many ailments one can have, I said sarcastically. Yaki isn't like that. She cares deeply for our son, as if he were her own, Zhou insisted, catching the implication in my words. If that's the case, then how would our son possibly affect Lin Yaki's pregnancy? Isn't that contradictory? Zhou was left speechless. There was a moment of silence. Suddenly, our son, Zhou Ran, who was already 10 and understood much of our conversation, distressingly asked, Mom, do you really not want me anymore? I haven't abandoned you. I'm just reassured knowing you have Aunt Lin as your new mom. I gently told Zhou Ran. Previously, to ensure Iran studied well, I often had to play the villain. Now, with no expectations, I vowed to never speak harshly to him again. However, Zhou Ran seemed dissatisfied, saying, Mom, don't smile at me like that. It makes me feel like you don't love me. I stroked his head. How could I not love you? I just don't want to force you to do things you dislike, which might ruin you as you grow up. Enough, Shin-Shi, Zhou interrupted, weary of my tone and perhaps feeling his pride wounded, as he had never been bested by me before. As he angrily left with Zhou Ran, he threatened, since you don't care about your son, I won't ask you anymore. Don't expect him to recognize you as his mother in the future. I shrugged indifferently. Whether or not I tried, when he grew up, he would only recognize Aunt Lin, not me. Why should I suffer unnecessarily? I decided to focus on living the life I truly wanted. Even though it's exhausting every day, it's joyful and fulfilling. Treating oneself well can indeed lead to a good life, if not occasionally interrupted. Today, after finishing a set of experimental data, I looked at my phone, which was on silent, and saw several missed calls from unknown numbers. I returned the call, and it was Zhou. Shin-Shi, come to the hospital. Your son had an accident and is injured. He's been hospitalized. I hesitated but eventually went to the hospital. Regardless of everything, Zhou Ran is still my biological son. Even if there's no affection, there's still responsibility. I just arrived at the hospital room door. I could hear the heated argument inside. Lin Yaqi screamed. Josuyu, how long will it take for you to send your son away? If you don't do it soon, I might end up dying at his hands. It'll be a double tragedy. Look, Iran doesn't dislike you. Why can't you just leave him alone? He even broke a bone falling down the stairs, and you didn't show the slightest concern. Josuyu raised his voice too. So, what, you want to see me fall down the stairs next? If I die, you'd have a reason to get back with Shinshi and have your perfect little family reunion, right? Enough, Lin Yaqi, stop being unreasonable. Iran needs to recover. Josuyu lost his patience. Well, I'll show you what being unreasonable is. Lin Yaqi pressed aggressively. I'm laying it out today, either you get rid of your son or I'll jump off a building with the child in my womb. Iran is only 10, where do you expect him to go? Josuyu's voice trembled with anger. I don't care where he goes, I just can't stand seeing him anymore. Lin Yaqi was adamant, otherwise, prepare for a tragedy. With that, Lin Yaqi turned and left. As soon as she stepped out of the hospital room, she ran into me. Lin Yaqi was clearly taken aback when she saw me. I was stunned too. Was this still the delicate, youthful girl from before, now heavily pregnant? She could easily be mistaken for an older expectant mother. It had been only 2 years. Shinshi, what are you doing here? Lin Yaqi was like a lit fuse, ready to explode at anyone. I heard from Josuyu that Iran was hospitalized, so I came to visit him. Are you here to see Iran or Josuyu? What, trying to seduce Josuyu while I'm pregnant? Is she out of her mind? But her being irrational anytime and anywhere isn't surprising, though I hadn't seen Lin Yaqi in the past 2 years, but having been with Josuyu for many years, we share common friends. Occasionally, I hear from them that ever since Lin Yaqi found out she was having a boy, she started causing trouble nonstop. Any slightly attractive female staff at Josuyu's company would be accused by her of trying to seduce him, pushing them to resign. She also didn't allow Josuyu to attend any social events. If he did go, she would show up and create a scene, causing him to lose many major projects. They say Josuyu was nearly driven mad by Lin Yaqi. Listening to all this, I found it somewhat amusing. How could anyone be driven mad like that? Josuyu actually loved Lin Yaqi's lively spirit. I'm giving you a warning. Josuyu suddenly burst out of the room, shouting at Lin Yaqi. He looked furious enough to devour her. Lin Yaqi probably hadn't seen Josuyu this angry before and seemed a bit frightened. Then she straightened her belly, as if gaining some courage, and shouted at Josuyu. If you dare to wrong me, I'll die just to show you. And you better deal with your son, or it's never over between us. Lin Yaqi turned and left. Josuyu was shaking with rage. I stood by, watching the drama unfold. Do you think I deserve this? Josuyu suddenly asked me. I suppressed my smile. It's none of my business, so I won't comment. I never expected Lin Yaqi to change so much during pregnancy. I'm not interested in your issues with her, I reminded him. I came to see your son. Josuyu said no more. I entered Iran's hospital room. He lay on the bed, his eyes red. Clearly, he had heard his dad and Lin Yaqi arguing. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up and he excitedly called out, Mom. I nodded, rather unenthusiastically. I simply asked him how he was doing. He told me that when he came home from school today and was going upstairs, he ran into Lin Yaqi. He claimed that Lin Yaqi deliberately pushed him down the stairs. But Lin Yaqi insisted that he didn't want her to have another child who would compete for attention, so he tried to push her down the stairs to harm the baby she was carrying. Lin Yaqi acted in self-defense and accidentally pushed Iran down the stairs. Iran also said that Lin Yaqi was very cruel to him, that her previous kindness was all an act. Ever since she married his father, she secretly hit and scolded him, calling him an unwanted wild child. She always forced him to eat chicken leg burgers, even when he didn't want to, saying that he only deserved such junk food. The more Iran spoke, the more he cried. I listened but remained calm. Indifferently, I reminded him, you shouldn't be telling me these things. You should talk to your dad or your grandmother. They don't believe me. They only believe Aunt Lin. Iran cried sorrowfully. They only care about the child in her womb. They don't care about me at all. They don't love me. They despise me. Mom, can I come live with you? Iran clung to me tightly. I'll be good and listen to you from now on. I won't say bad things about you anymore. Mom, I know you really love me. It was all my fault before. I shouldn't have spoken ill of you and disliked you. I was wrong. Can you forgive me? Iran kept crying. He was truly afraid that I didn't want him anymore. But the truth is, I didn't want him anymore. I gently but distantly pushed his hand away and said, Iran, everyone must take responsibility for their choices. When you chose Aunt Lynn, Mom had already left your world, but I regret it now. I know I was wrong. If you regret it, then you should change yourself, not try to change me, I said calmly. My life now will not change for anyone, especially not for you and Josiu. I coldly left Zhou Iran's hospital room. There was no possibility of forgiveness. Nor had I ever considered forgiving him. Shinshi, when did you become so cold-hearted? Iran is your own son, how can you just abandon him? Don't you feel that you owe him? Josiu stood at the door of the hospital room, angrily confronting me. I paused, responding methodically to Josiu. Firstly, according to our divorce agreement, I have been providing child support every month. I have fulfilled my responsibilities as a mother and have not neglected him. Secondly, Zhou Iran is also your biological son, and you have custody, so you should be the one to manage your household affairs and ensure that Zhou Iran has a comfortable living environment. Lastly, our marriage ended because of your infidelity. You have no right to say that I owe Zhou Iran anything. If anyone owes him, it's you. Josiu flushed with embarrassment. After a moment, he seemed to muster great courage and asked me, Shinshi, must I humble myself before you? I looked at him, puzzled. By doing this, you want me to apologize to you voluntarily, to say that I regret divorcing you to marry Lin Yaqi. Fine, I admit, I was wrong. I shouldn't have fallen for Lin Yaqi's seduction back then. It was wrong of me to let her ruin our relationship and marriage, and to divorce you because of her. Josiu said, his regret tinged with arrogance. He continued, I promise you, once Lin Yaqi has had the baby and the law allows, I will divorce her immediately and we can be together again. I remained silent, utterly shocked by Josiu's words. I couldn't fathom how shameless a person could be to say such things so matter-of-factly. I know you've been single these past 2 years, Josiu added. You've been improving yourself, focusing on your studies and keeping fit. Is it all just to make me regret, to make me see? So you think I'm living my life just to show you? I couldn't help but laugh. Shinshi, we're not getting any younger. There's no need to go through these motions, just take the deal. I'm not that patient. Josiu seemed uninterested in a drawn-out conversation. He said, I still have a large flat. You and our son can move there first. After I divorce Lin Yaqi, you can move back into the villa. I didn't respond, just looked at Josiu and laughed. Josiu was getting frustrated. What are you laughing at? Are you that happy? I'm laughing at how someone can be so utterly shameless. Shinshi. Josiu fumed. I don't know where you get the confidence from, thinking I would remarry a reckless man who's been irresponsible in his relationships and is arrogantly proud of it. Am I sick? You better watch what you're saying, Shinshi. I'm only giving you this chance for our son's sake. Don't push it. Keep this wonderful opportunity for someone else. I can't afford it, I said emphatically, and I'm not interested. Stop being sarcastic. Josiu couldn't hide his anger. You don't really think that a divorced woman in her 30s with a 10-year-old child will be sought after by men? They're just playing with you. Which man would seriously marry such a woman? Why, you can remarry, can't you? I retorted. Are men and women the same? Can a man not change his ways and be valued like gold? What about women? Josiu was utterly scornful. So this was why Josiu felt no remorse about his repeated infidelities within the marriage. As a man, he was far too pleased with himself. I don't need your concern. Even if no man wants me for the rest of my life, I wouldn't consider you again. I flatly refused. Before Josiu could speak, I added, moreover, who said a woman needs a man to live? Why can't I enjoy being independent? I'm doing just fine on my own. Why should I serve someone else? Can't I spend money? Can't I enjoy my days? Do I lack arms or legs that I absolutely need a man? Josiu was left red-faced by my words. The more I spoke, the more amused I became, and I left laughing. I really don't understand how, in this day and age, Josiu's male chauvinism can still be taken for granted. In my past life, I must have had my head caught in a door to have put up with him for so long. After parting ways with Josiu on bad terms, he didn't bother me again. I successfully stayed on at the university to pursue my PhD. Continuing to explore the academic field I love, there was a college reunion. I initially didn't want to go, but my former roommate, who had always been persuasive, insisted, and mentioned Josiu wouldn't be there. He said there was a mess at home and that he couldn't come, so I agreed to attend the event. During the banquet, a classmate couldn't help gossiping. Did you guys know? Josiu was almost driven crazy by his mistress. Then he turned to look at me. Shinshi. You don't mind us talking about your ex-husband, right? why should I mind, he's my ex after all, I said with a laugh. Well, I'm not holding back then, the classmate went on, revealing more. Joseyu's mistress is really something, always causing drama, using her status as the mother of his child. She embarrasses Joseyu in public, bans attractive female employees from his company, and even disrupts his business dinners. She's practically ruining his company. It's said she's even trying to kick Joseyu's oldest son out of the house to make way for her own son, but that's not even the main point. There's an even bigger bombshell. The other classmates were all curious, pressing him for more details. With exaggerated excitement, the classmate declared, the child born to Joseyu's mistress isn't even his. Really? No way. How did they find out? Everyone was asking at once. When the baby was born, they did a blood type test, right? The son is type O, Joseyu is type AB. It's impossible for him to father a type O child, so Joseyu must be furious, right? This is like being cuckolded, and to think his mistress has been so brazen because of this child. Joseyu might as well have killed her, exclaimed the classmate. I heard Joseyu almost did kill her, and now they seem to be going through divorce proceedings, because he hit her. I heard the divorce is going to cost him a lot. Listening to all this, I thought. Who says there's no justice? My roommate cheekily asked me, hearing all this gossip. Don't you think coming here was worth it? I nodded. Indeed, it was quite satisfying. However, just as the reunion was about to end, nobody expected Joseyu to suddenly appear. We had been talking about him all evening, and seeing him in person made everyone somewhat awkward. Is it over? Joseyu appeared quite composed. It's over. The class president hurriedly replied, sorry, I was held up by something. No worries, let's catch up another time, said the class president straightforwardly. Normally, we might have stayed longer with Joseyu, but this time we just dispersed. Joseyu didn't say much else. Classmates began leaving one after another. I had drunk a bit and didn't drive, so I was standing by the roadside hailing a cab. I'll give you a ride. Joseyu rolled down his car window. No need, I refused. Come on, it's on the way. Really, no thanks, with no other choice. He stopped the car and came over to me. I pretended not to see him. You must have heard about how Linyaki played me, Joseyu said. I just heard. I didn't hide my amusement. It's really quite funny. Today, Linyaki and I officially divorced. Joseyu looked at me. I didn't respond. After all, it was none of my business, and I wasn't interested. Last time, I wasn't sincere enough. Joseyu suddenly said in a subdued tone, I've regretted it for a long time. Just couldn't swallow my pride to ask you. Looking at him, I found it amusing. You can swallow your pride now. What? Suddenly no one wants you? Aren't men considered priceless once they've truly changed? Shouldn't she? I admit I was harsh before, but I never intended to hurt you. I just didn't know how else to get you back, Joseyu said helplessly, so I resorted to reverse psychology. Thanks for your reverse psychology. It only succeeded in making you more repulsive to me. Joseyu's face flushed red and then turned pale from my words. He said, shouldn't she? I'm sorry, I really realize my mistakes now. I swear, I won't do anything to hurt you again. Let's start over. Just you, me, and our son, the three of us. The three of us. How could he even dare to say those words? I could barely contain my disgust. Come back home with me. Joseyu reached out to me. I skillfully avoided his hand. Joseyu, somewhat embarrassed, continued, our son is waiting at home. He's really missed you these past few years and regrets the things he said to you. It's not just him, I have regrets too. So, can you forgive us just this once? I can't forgive you. I shook my head. My response was firm. Shouldn't she? Why should I forgive just because you regret? What about all the suffering I went through? What about the enlightenment I gained over a lifetime? I asked him coldly. A lifetime? Joseyu didn't understand. There was no need for me to explain further. I coldly stated, from the moment we divorced, it was truly over between us. You don't need to waste your time coming after me, and don't use our son to try to reconcile. It's useless. Not only is it useless, but you also annoy me because you disrupt my life. Are you worried I won't really change? Joseyu asked. It has nothing to do with me. If I were you, I'd have concerns too. Joseyu seemed to understand me, saying, I'll show you. How much clearer can I be? I will not get back together with you. Aren't you still single? Joseyu assumed my being single meant I was waiting for him to reform. I had no strength left to explain. Joseyu was too confident. He thought that just by turning around, I would definitely be waiting there for him. Let him think what he wants. Eventually, he'll realize that I've long moved on. far beyond his reach and unworthy of me. Half a year later, at the centennial celebration of University A. All alumni of University A were invited to attend. The campus was bustling. As a distinguished alumnus, I stood at the podium in the grand auditorium. The hall was packed, including Josué among the audience. He probably couldn't believe that I was standing on such a prestigious and significant platform. Behind me on the big screen were all my academic achievements over the years, achievements that would leave a permanent mark in the university's centennial history. After my speech, thunderous applause filled the hall. I thought I heard someone shouting, "Senior sister, you're amazing." I smiled and bowed before leaving. Walking through the campus, many students came up to me, wanting photos and autographs. After finally managing to send off waves of students, I saw Josué and his much-grown son, Joiran, appearing before me. Joiran excitedly said, "Mom, I just saw your speech in the auditorium, and I'm so proud of you." Everyone around was saying how incredible you were. I smiled faintly, offering a polite thank you before turning to leave. "Shinshi," Josué called out to me nervously. I looked back at him. His eyes still carried a look of surprise, as if he couldn't pinpoint when I had started to change. I had become completely different from the middle-aged woman he remembered, who used to revolve solely around him and our son. He sincerely expressed, "You were really impressive today. I hadn't expected you to achieve so much in the academic field." "So, have you finally come to realize?" I asked him, with a hint of mockery. Josué's face showed a trace of embarrassment, but he quickly masked it, saying, "It's not because of your achievements that I want to reconcile. I've been wanting to get back together even when I didn't know about them. I know you've always resented me for betraying you," Josué said anxiously, seemingly realizing that I was drifting further away from him. He said passionately, "The truth is, I've always loved you. My thing with Lin Yaki was just a fleeting attraction and male vanity. I never once thought of divorcing you. Lin Yaki and I were just play acting." It felt like the biggest joke I had ever heard in this life and the past one, but I did not interrupt him. Josué continued regretfully, "The reason I insisted on having our son's custody was to avoid divorce, knowing you wouldn't bear to part with him, but I never expected you to actually give up the custody, leaving me no choice but to agree to the divorce. After the divorce, I never intended to be with Lin Yaki. I'd been waiting for you to come back. I even took precautions every time I was with Lin Yaki because I never thought about having a child with her. So, I should be grateful to you for the magnanimous act of using protection while betraying me emotionally and physically." Lin Yaki said she was pregnant, and I didn't think much of it, never suspecting she might be cheating on me. "I thought the contraception just failed," Josué said, still unable to hide his anger. He paused for several seconds before continuing. "When Lin Yaki insisted on a commitment, I actually didn't agree. Do you remember that night I called you? If you had just said not to marry Lin Yaki, I wouldn't have, but you said nothing, and in anger, I agreed to marry her. Even on the day I married Lin Yaki, I was still waiting for you to stop the wedding. If you had come, I would have chosen you, but you didn't. I had no choice but to marry Lin Yaki." Listening to Josué's so-called love for me was really hard to assess. He continued in agony, "After marrying Lin Yaki, she caused endless dramas, making me a laughingstock in the business world. That's when I truly realized how good you were to me, how tolerant. I even wished I could divorce her immediately and get back together with you, but she was pregnant, and legally I couldn't divorce her, so I hoped you would wait for me. I even thought about using our son to win you back, but you kept refusing me. Do you know how scared I was? I was terrified of never being able to find you again." Josué's eyes were reddened, yet, I found it utterly ridiculous. At least, I never felt his fear then. He still acted superior in front of me. Later, Lin Yaki had a son, but he wasn't mine. I was extremely angry yet relieved. I could finally divorce Lin Yaki and be with you. Josué looked at me with hope in his eyes. "Shinshi, I'm sorry. I used to be terribly wrong. From now on, if I ever do anything to hurt you again, I'll cut off my own legs. Mom, I'll be good and listen to you from now on. I won't break your heart again." Joiran followed with a promise. I watched the father and son. I saw their remorse, their deep affection, and their anticipation, yet, I remained unmoved. Seeing no response from me, Josué spoke again. "Shinshi, won't you come back to us? Let us make up for the hurt we caused you." "Okay, no need." I shook my head. "I've healed from those wounds a long time ago. I don't need them. And I certainly don't care for them anymore." "Shinshi, Josué, don't you think that you're no longer worthy of me?" I cut him off. mocking his presumptuousness. Zhou quickly tried to clarify his stance. Shenshi, it's you the person I like, whether it's the you from the past or the you now, regardless of whether you're outstanding or not, and why should I, being so outstanding, settle for scraps? I asked him with a laugh, not sparing him any dignity. His face turned red. Probably out of shame. Still, he didn't give up. He said, Shenshi, haven't you always been single? So, being single is his reason to assume I would come back to him. I smiled and turned my gaze away. Chen Zhiqing quickly came to my side and naturally wrapped his arms around me, clearly eager for my acknowledgement. He casually greeted Zhou Ziyu and Zhou Yiran, ex-brother-in-law, and big son. Zhou Ziyu's eyes were fixed on Chen Zhiqing's hands around my waist. Shenshi, to reject me? Did you have to pick just anyone? It's not just anyone. I knew what Zhou Ziyu was about to say, but I ran out of patience and spoke bluntly. I've been single for so many years because I enjoyed being alone. Now, I'm not single because I find this man worthy enough to start a new marriage with. I watched as Zhou Ziyu struggled to accept this, then twisted the knife a bit more. So, my being single or not has nothing to do with you. It's about my own choice, and you, in my heart, are just a nobody. With that said, I left, arm in arm with Chen Zhiqing. As we were leaving, Chen Zhiqing suddenly turned back and said, Shenshi is